All right. David, are you all set as well? All right, great. Good evening. My name is Michael Muddett, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the Inland Wetlands Commission of Monroe. Today's date is October 14th. The time is 7:05 p.m. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First, I'd like to introduce the members of the commission and staff present tonight. Starting at my far right, Pete Oliva, Commissioner Megan Hayden, Commissioner Jack Bath, I'm Michael Muddett, Chairman, our Vice Chairman Jason Grady, our Secretary Lois Spence, our admin, okay, Donna Szynski, and our Town Engineer and Land Use Director Scott Schaffline. Before we start, I'd like to read our mission statement and how the meeting will proceed. The objective of the Monroe Inland Wetlands Commission is to provide the overall protection and preservation of the inland wetlands and watercourses within the town of Monroe. In the normal course of our meetings, we will have public hearings and other applications. The protocol for public hearings is we'll have an applicant make a presentation to the commission, during which and after the commission will be asking the applicant questions. The commission will then review town and staff and other independent comments. The meeting will then be opened up for public for comment. I'll ask that all comments will be made to the chair or the commission. After all comments pro, in opposition, and of general nature are made, the applicant will be given the opportunity to respond. It is not necessary that the applicant respond, but generally in their best interest to do so. There will be no further opportunity for questions unless new materials entered in it as evidence or testimony during the response. Please keep all and any questions, pros, cons, specific to wetlands, inland wetlands related matters. Other applications that do not involve a public hearing will follow a similar format, but with the exception of no public comments are allowed. The meeting follows our published agenda unless otherwise amended. You can find the agenda up on the front table. Please help yourself. Is there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, there's a few changes. The first items are under section 2. We're adding 64 Cambridge Drive as a new application, IWC 2015-19. We're also adding 46 Cutler's Farm Road, which is IWC 2015-18. And then under section 10, we're adding a second item for 111 Turkey Roost Road, and that I believe is the extent of the changes to the agenda.
Thank you, Scott. Next item on the agenda is the minutes of September 23rd, and we're actually going to hold on that, and we will get them addressed at the next meeting. Next part is general public participation. For the general public participation, we ask that this is a forum for anyone in town to bring up to the commission any inland wetlands issues. We please request that all comments are related to inland wetlands issues and are not part of the current agenda. Anybody would like to speak as part of public participation? Seeing none, we will move on to application hearing determinations. First application hearing determination is IWC 2015-17, 1427 Monroe Turnpike, regulated activities associated with the construction of a single-family dwelling, including storm drainage plan, on-site septic system, and driveway.
Okay, bear with me. We got this fairly recently, and I did not get a chance to review it yet. So I'll read you the application information. Single-family dwelling. This is on property that is 3.2 acres. The wetlands on the property are 1.2 acres. Upland review area is 2 acres. The listed regulated areas to be altered are no wetland, direct wetland alterations. And then upland review areas, the proposal is for 0.64 or 28,000 square feet. 28,000 square feet of impacted upland review area. The proposed development is for the construction of a single-family residence, house to be serviced by on-site septic system. They're proposing replacing the existing head wall in Monroe Turnpike with a catch basin and adding 155 feet of plastic pipe to a catch basin and plunge pool and check dam. So it looks like, just looking at this quickly, there is a current town discharge pretty much in the center of the property, in the center of the frontage. And because of that, they've got the driveway and the septic on one side, they've got the house on the other, and they are proposing piping that open ditch line to the rear of the property, or to the end of the backyard, which outfalls very close to a wetland area. At this point, I'm not sure if that discharge from the street is an intermittent water course or not. I can look into that for you. Just looking very quickly on the plan, it doesn't look like it is, because it looks like it's just picking up storm runoff from the road. They've got checked off here that everything is in here, the soils report and everything else, so I haven't had a chance to go through and confirm that. Let me just see one last thing. And they're indicating that it's not in a public watershed, so I'll check on that when I do my review, and I'll be sending that out to you once that's done. That's it.
Thank you, Scott. Does the commission have any questions or comments related to this application?
The only thing I don't see is a planting plan upon quick observation.
I'm sorry, what did you say you didn't see?
Planting plan?
All right, any other comments? I don't want to cut anybody off because I know that we just received this, so let me know if you need more time.
I move that we bring this to public hearing, because it may be in public interest and there may be wetland impact.
Second.
Hearing a motion by Lois and a second by Jason. All that are in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? That will be moving to a public hearing and scheduled with the office.
Yeah, we've got a number of applications, so we'll try to make that work with the agenda, so.
Okay. I'm going to take these in order of number, Scott. So IWC 2015-18,
Which one is it?
46 Cutler Farm Road, regulated activities associated with the construction of a single-family dwelling, Knoll.
Okay, this one I did get a chance to review it, so you should have it in your packet that was delivered tonight. I just finished it. Does everybody have it?
Yes.
Okay, so this is 46 Cutler's Farm Road. This is a lot which is part of the Campbell subdivision, happened a number of years ago. It is for the construction of a single-family dwelling. The proposed activity is grading and installation of deck support posts. This is a situation where we've already processed, quite frankly, we've already processed the building permit for it administratively, because what happened is they came in with a plan that was, had development entirely outside of the regulated area.
Okay.
So I went ahead and processed that, and they received their building permit. But in that process, I had recommended to them that they really should come in with an application to the commission and look at extending the side yard just a little bit from a practical standpoint, because the way that they proposed it, I mean, they can't even barely fit a ladder next to the house to paint it in the future and maintain it. So I told them that, in my opinion, to avoid setting them up for a violation that we then have to pursue in the future, I think from a more of a practical standpoint. Now, maybe as part of the application, you may look at it and determine, you know, other alternatives for the proposed activity or not. But I suggested that they come before the commission with something a little bit more practical. So they're doing that. That's the purpose of the application. This is 2.362 acres. The wetlands on the property are 0.249 acres. Upland review areas on the property is 0.67 acres. There are no direct wetland impacts, but they are proposing grading in this activity within the fringes of the upland review area to the extent of 0.021 acres or 925 square feet. This is not in a, let's see, I don't believe it is, it's not in a public watershed. I provided comments for the commission and for the applicant. They are dated 10/14/15, which is today. They include 2 informative comments, 3 administrative comments, and 4 technical comments. That will be relayed on the letter that goes out to them of your decision regarding the process needed for the application.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Are there any questions or comments from the commission? Hearing none, open the floor for a motion.
Motion to move to a regular hearing?
Second.
Motion by Jason to move this to a regular hearing, second by Lois. All that are in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
You probably should, the same as you do for a public hearing, should list why, regular.
It doesn't look like there's a lot of direct impact, right? It's just, you said it was just a minor encroachment into the upland review area. That's what I'm sticking with.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, there's no abstentions, passed unanimously to regular hearing. And the next determination on our agenda is IWC 2015-19, 64 Cambridge Drive, subdivision referral for re-subdivision of property and regulated activities associated with the construction of a roadway, driveway, and associated gradings, utility, drainage New England Materials by Kimball Group LLC.
Okay, so if you look closely at your agenda tonight, you'll notice that there's an application for IWC 2015-11 for a public hearing this evening. That is the same application. What happened is they did not do their notice for the Public Watershed, Aquarian Water, and Commissioner of Public Health. They chose to withdraw the application and resubmit a new application to address that legal issue. So that other item will be, I'll be reading off a withdrawal when we get to it. This is, again, the same exact application. This is a re-subdivision of lot 64, of 64 Cambridge Drive. What's happening here is there are a number of compliance issues that we've been working a very long time with them on resolving. This is the first application in a series of applications that will come in to address those deficiencies or compliance issues. This application reconfigures the subdivision layout to the extent where the roadway right-of-way is being changed or reduced. There are no new lots being created. It's just a reconfiguration, but it fits the definition of a re-subdivision. So it's coming to you for referral and regulated activity associated with that. They'll be shortening the road, putting in a cul-de-sac, putting in various sedimentation and erosion control measures that go along with that. They'll be addressing some wetland violation or infractions that are out there today, and that's the purpose of the application. So I don't know if you need more than that.
So 2015-11 is withdrawn. This is a new application.
Yes,
It goes to the bottom of the line.
we're going to go through the same process because it stands on its own.
The only other question I have for it is, I know last time we brought up some issues with who the roadway belonged to and whether it was given to the town or whether it was still in kind of paper format. Will those issues also be addressed as part of this application, the new one?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, all right. Any other questions or comments on the new application for 64 Cambridge Drive? Hearing none, I'll open the floor for a motion.
I move that we bring this to regular hearing, as it had already been through public hearing process once, and there is very little actual work happening.
Actual what?
That didn't come out right at all.
Lois, if I could clarify,
Sure.
this is scheduled for a public hearing tonight, but we have not been through
Right.
public. We've had no hearing.
We haven't had it.
We haven't
Hasn't
had
been.
any.
Then may I withdraw that motion?
You may withdraw that motion.
I move that we bring it to public hearing, in that the first time it was submitted, it was going to be public hearing, so it should be this time also.
Second.
Okay, we'll have a motion by Lois, a second by Pete. All that are in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, that goes to a public hearing unanimous. Okay, all right, that finishes our application determination part of the agenda. We'll now move into regulated activities. The first regulated activity we have, sorry,
Did we add a third one? Okay.
we did, that was the third one, 19.
Oh, I didn't cross it. My bad.
So the first regulated activity we have is a regular hearing on IWC 2015-12, which is 54 Garter Road, regulated activities associated with the construction of a single-family dwelling, associated site improvements, Palmer.
You have your own stick drive, you want to use it? Well, I think you should have more stuff on your own, right? You have
Oh, I think I sent everything over.
It's the exact same stuff. I mean, you're welcome to use this if,
It's just that this isn't working.
so take it from there.
That one isn't working, is it on?
Is it on? There's a,
Can you check it?
See now? Thank you.
Okay, can you please introduce yourself for the
Bill
record?
Carbone, Path York and Associates. I'm a professional engineer licensed in the state of Connecticut.
Thank you.
I can figure out how this is working. Are they all in one?
that looks like there's
That's
only,
just a
there's only
single
one
one.
on that. Trying to figure out why.
It's the other side, but I think there should be another place for thumbs are.
Why is it only one?
Yep, that's the one, open files, or open folder to view files. The one that's highlighted in blue, just click that one. Yep,
Yep.
there you go.
Okay. This is a single-family lot on Garter Road. This is Garter Road here. This is how Cocky Hollow is about over there. There's a wetlands area all through here. There's water course that starts north of our site, or west of our site, flows underneath Garter Road and out in this direction. This is part of a subdivision that was created in 1993. Is this correct? It was called Meadow Woods Estates. This was lot 11 in this area. The house, if you get this to blow up somehow. Scott, where's your,
Because you're over here.
we are lot 11 of that subdivision that was approved. The house is located in the original subdivision, was located in the north corner of the lot. Our proposed development is located in the same area. Keep changing. The house was, as I say, the lot was originally approved, had a wetlands permit in 1993. That wetlands permit has expired, and the current owner of the lot wants to obtain a new permit so he can put the lot on the market. This is the wetlands boundary, obviously. There is a house in this area, which is as close to the setback lines as we can get it, either the front setback line on Carter Road or the sideline in here, to keep us as far away from the wetlands as possible. The septic system is located in this area. Again, it is one of the viable areas for a septic system. There's less room over here that we have good soils and can build a standard septic system. There is no wetland, high water table or anything like that in this area. So the septic system is of a minimal size. We have tried to keep as much of the work out of the regulated, or it's all within the regulated area, but we're trying to keep it as far away from the wetlands as we can. In most areas, we're at least 40 feet to this line right in here, which is our LOD line. There is some areas where we're a little bit closer, but basically we've tried to maintain at least 40 feet. This site was farmed until the late 1970s. Looking at the original map that I showed you, the 1984 town topo map, trees were starting to come back into this site. Part of the site in this area was mowed until about 10 years ago, but I'm going to be
That is true.
and as I said, we've tried to maintain our development as far away from the wetlands as we could. Scott gave us a review letter yesterday, which obviously we haven't had time to prepare a written thing, but I wish some of this. We will provide it with my request that you will do electronics. Scott, because the, pull this up a little more. The 100-foot regulated area, basically, and so we will have, he would like us to be placed that, but I just can't show it on here, it doesn't. If,
What situation likely at the, or where you would want the yard to be, where you're proposing that?
Along with that, he has asked for a physical demarcation of that, and we would propose building a split rail fence, again, along that LOD line that we have in here, and those markers can be put on the posts of the, we have a standard subsurface recharge system. With roof leaders, this is possible because it's basically clean water. However, he's asked for the recharge of the driveway also, which we do not like to put in underground, at least not without some pre-treatment. What we are proposing to do in this case, because it's readily available, there is to be a temporary sediment trap located right here. This is part of the standard construction details. What we would do is take this driveway, sheet flow it off so that it goes into that. We will convert the temporary sediment trap to a permanent rain garden. The rain garden, as the sediment trap as shown on this plan, calls for 46 cubic yards of storage. The runoff from a 1-inch storm from the driveway will be about 4 cubic yards. So when this is taken down, it will be just graded out, but retain some of it as a rain garden and planted as such. And that way we will keep the water from the driveway in a surface facility and percolate into the ground so that sediments are not injected into the ground as it would be in a recharge system. Scott has asked for a deck. This house is a house that you would see on a standard subdivision. It is not the proposal for this project. It is showing a potential house. A deck, say an 8 by 12, would be shown off here over that grading area. Again, if we are asking for a permit allowing this amount of disturbance, if someone comes in later with a house plan or plans for this lot that extend the limit of disturbance the same way as in a subdivision, they would have to come back for a modification of the permit. But we are asking for this permit so it can be marketed. Scott has asked for a invasive plant control plan, or that's what I call it. We have, in this area, especially down in here,
Just click on it.
Just close it.
okay, there are invasive species of some types as part of its regrowth. What I have is a invasive control plan that we're proposing for this site. This is based on a plan that was approved by this commission for 57 Jockey Hollow. This was a lot on Jockey Hollow Road that backed onto Steiner's Pond and had a problem very similar to this one, and that it had, over the years, just been allowed for whatever to come back as regrowth. And this plan, obviously with the names changed,
I don't think that's the same thing.
this would work for the same thing. It calls for the cutting of the plants, all the plants, especially the bayberry and such, to be removed from the site so that even some of these plants will grow just from the cuttings. But it also calls for the replanting of that area with wetlands compatible plants and to try to keep out the invasive species. That is our first draft of that. As I said, we didn't have this until yesterday, but I think that with possibly some modifications would be sufficient for this plan, this proposal. The last of Scott's comments were that he wanted a test pit dug in this area. There are 9 test pits located in this area, none specifically under the galleries. The soils on this site where all our testing was extremely uniform. We had no groundwater, we had no modeling. The B horizon was about the same depth throughout the site and would be compatible for the recharge. My suggestion is that as a condition of approval, a test pit in the specific area of the recharge system be done as part of, before the building permit is issued. But it's, because of the uniformity of soils, we don't think there will be any surprises in there. That's basically our proposal. It is asking for the issuance of a new building permit for one existed before. There is a limited amount we can do with this plan due to the surrounding wetlands, and we've tried to maintain everything as far away from the wetlands as possible. We're up against the setbacks. We have the minimum distance between the septic field and the septic tank and from the building, so we've kept everything as close or as far to the north as we could, which is as far from the wetlands as possible. Have any questions? Yeah, yes.
Okay, any questions from the commission?
In the sediment basin, is there enough room to also accept the water from the footing drains? That would eliminate the need to cut that swath.
Yeah, I did not address that, sorry. The foundation is at elevation 94. Therefore, the footing drain comes out at about 92. This is the 92 contour. We chose to pipe it all the way down because if we ended it, say, back here at the LOD line, the ditch would be 3 feet deep, which would mean it would be 8 feet wide on the top, 3 foot at 2 to 1 on each side with a 2-foot bottom. You would have a swale 8 feet wide. We felt there would be less disturbance in this area just to pipe it. The bottom of this depression that exists there now is 94, so hydraulically it doesn't work.
That's the question. Is there to be any work done before the plot is marketed? Or is this strictly a paper application?
Strictly paper. Or the applicant wishes it to be strictly paper.
Okay. You have on here the possible location of footing drain. What would be the other possibility?
Any other area that's down here at elevation 92, but that is the closest one.
I see, okay.
But a clarification that you would be held to that location if a plot plan came in for permitting and it was in a different location, you realize you'd have to come back.
Anybody coming in with a variation, significant variation from this will have to get a modification to the permit, yes.
I'm thinking it would also probably be a good idea to install markers around the rain garden. In that homeowners really, some frequently don't realize that a rain garden has a purpose and they fill it in.
Fine, I don't know whether you would want vegetation or markers or possibly both, but the rain garden will have to be planted.
Right.
If you would want a perimeter of plants put around that, that might suffice too, that's whichever way the commission wants to go with that.
Well, that would need planting both in the rain garden itself as well as,
Right, well, the bottom will be planted most likely with grasses because it has to be maintained.
right?
But along the top of the slope, you could put shrubs that are wetlands compatible. It would limit the amount of access to it.
Until they cut it down and fill it in.
Well, yeah, they'll pull the markers out too, but whatever.
This is true.
I just happen to like vegetation better than markers.
So can you provide us with a planting plan for the rain garden for next time?
Yes,
Okay.
next.
You did say there was a next time, right? Because you said you were gonna bring in a new survey.
The only thing that was on the survey was he wanted a live signature and a T2 certification. The map is not changing, only the notes on it. So and we will provide that, I just didn't think that would be necessary to continue the meeting for that. Or I was hoping it wouldn't be.
So you okay with that?
Yeah, the A2 survey is just that could be a follow-up. The T2 is, the goal there is to make sure that we have real information that you're looking at. And if they're, for instance, they're showing you that they need to be right near that wetland for that invert discharge for the footing grading. Well, that's based on town topo, which could be off a foot to 2 feet. The goal is to have accurate field-generated or verified information for you. I'm not really concerned that much about it.
This is a field survey, it's not town topo.
Well,
It's A2.
Right, it says A2, T2, but
No, it says A2, it does not have the T2, that's the comment that we would add.
actually it does say T2 on your survey, but if you look further down on the survey, there's a note on there that says that the vertical information was taken off the town topo maps. So there's a contradiction there on the survey. So that's, I'm looking
It's
for
a
that.
field survey, we will correct that because
So we just a note that
it's
that's.
on assumed survey, it's on assumed datum, so it's not town topo.
Yeah, because that's what kind of set me off
Yeah.
on it, because I found that note.
Right.
So that's something I can clear up after the fact.
So what about the plantings for the rain garden?
That's, up to the commission, that's clearly. Again, you want to, your caution to, I shouldn't be acting as the commission on
Understood.
issues. I can help process things, but passing judgment on plants and things like that is probably something you guys should be doing.
I would like to have proposed that as a condition of approval that we submit a planting plan for the rain status town's agent. Scott?
I wasn't saying he didn't want it.
Well, it's not that I don't want it, I don't know if it's appropriate, because I'm not a voting member of the commission. And to put that on me to make that subjective decision may not be appropriate.
The commission can delegate it if they wish.
The concern is that if this plan were to be used as the plan for the new house, when it came to issue the CO, there would be nothing for the staff to go by to see that it was done properly. So that's why we need that kind of information submitted during the hearing. Which is why I was asking Scott if he had enough information to send the staff out to inspect. I don't
Yeah,
know
so
if
what it comes
anybody
down
else-
to is, like, if a presentation includes a description to the point where it's pretty clear what's being provided, and it's just a matter of me making sure that it's put on a drawing for documentation purposes. That's one thing. If it's not really clear what's being proposed, then it's something that you guys should see.
Are you able to describe the plantings in enough detail
The
today,
bottom-
during the hearing
It will
today?
it'll be somewhat similar to the invasive species that we have listed. First of all, the bottom will have the same seed mix on the bottom as we've listed in the invasive species. I would say along the slopes, along the top, we will use this, I don't have that copy in front of me anymore.
I'll borrow that.
I brought 10 and handed them all around, unfortunately.
Who's the authority on rain
For example, the elderberries and similar fruit-bearing plants such as the yellow shrubs, we would plant on the sides and the top.
Something that we could
This
accept.
is about 20 by 20 is the approximate size of that temporary sediment basin. And as I say, when we would convert that, it would be overkill, but it'd be about the same amount. So we would say the elderberry or similar type shrubs would be planted along the side slopes and along the top. We have a 20 by 20, that's 80 feet. Every 8 feet, so we have, the math is easy, 10 plants along the top and a similar density down the side slopes.
Now, who would be the appropriate professional technically to give us the planting plan?
Either a botanist or a wetland scientist, as we had in the invasive plant control plan. Again, this is immediately adjacent to the wetlands. The rain garden may even become a wetlands, or certainly the same vegetation. So I would say either a wetland scientist or a botanist would be the appropriate person to supervise the installation and, again, the monitoring plan of 80% survival for 2 growing seasons.
So is it your testimony that if any variation from what you just verbally stated, it would obviously have to come back to the commission?
Yes,
If I'm understanding your testimony correctly, it is the wetlands wildlife mix at the bottom of the rain garden with the elderberry and other, or like shrub every 8 feet for a total of almost 10 plants or more than 10 plants.
that's along the top.
Top of slope.
We would do it at the same density down the side slopes. This is going to be about 4 feet deep, so that would make it 8 feet wide. So again, you would have 2/3 that same number on the slopes,
So another 7 plants.
give or take, yeah.
It sounds a little sparse. I'm trying to envision 20 feet. And elderberry, I'm just taking elderberry because I happen to know that plant.
That's 8 feet on center.
Right.
And what is it, elderberry, when grown out, 4 foot diameter?
Something like that, yeah.
So you would, 4 foot diameter with 8 foot on center would give you a 4 foot gap in between. All we're doing in here is trying to make this so people recognize what it is.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not trying to be a slope stabilization or anything like that. It's a demarcation.
Yeah, we need to set minimum sizes also, because I just happened to buy an elderberry plant
What'd you buy?
last year, and I got a stick, this big, a single stick. So that could be considered an elderberry
Yes,
plant,
it
so we
could.
need to be specific as to how big and,
What size pot was it in?
it happened to be dry root.
Oh.
So, I
Would I
couldn't
go with a
wait.
5 gallon, 10 gallon plant? Pot that comes out about that big, whatever's appropriate. No, that's the pot, that's the plan. 10-gallon size?
Do we typically do it by diameter? Thought in the
Trees
planting?
go
Trees, but
by
not shrubs, I
dimension.
guess you're right, okay.
Couldn't we leave it up to a botanist or
I'm not sure.
a wetland scientist to make the judgment of what's needed? I have no
think that's
idea
good, no,
what-
I think you're right, I think we need
But could
Yeah,
we say in
something
accord-
done by I mean, Ed's an engineer, he's a biologist, so, how do you do this?
I have it as supervised by a botanist or a wetland scientist. With appropriate size as directed by the botanist, wetland scientist.
Seems okay with me.
I'm okay, how do you feel about that, Harvey?
I don't know, I'm just trying to revision Scott's staff.
No, I know. Let me ask that question then. Scott, with the description we received today, do you believe your staff could enforce that on a plan or in person?
Yeah, I mean, I have a picture of what is being represented. I can do that.
Okay.
Okay, then that's fine, if Scott's
O-
okay.
Only if you feel comfortable enforcing that verbal description. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Verify it.
Any other commission questions?
No, that's it for me.
Okay. Anyone else? I just had one question. So with the plan as outlined, my understanding is all the trees that are in the limit of disturbance would be removed. Any trees existing outside the limit of disturbance would be left alone, right? So we can still have a pretty good canopy.
As far as trees go, yes, any native trees
Right.
would be preserved. In the outside, the LOD would only be invasives removed.
Removed, okay.
And to the extent that the grading would allow, for example, in this area here where there's no substantial grading, trees would be mature trees would be left.
Could be left, yeah.
Yes, and there are areas in here, in that area, where there is no grading proposed, and they're not gonna cut down mature trees, it just adds to the value of the lot, so that would be our intent.
Would you, that be okay with like that being a condition of approval, that mature trees with, outside of the grading area would be left?
Yes,
Okay.
native.
Native,
Sure.
of course, yes. And non-damaged, healthy trees.
Right, yes, yes.
Can I get some clarification as well? Like, one of the issues is that you're indicating that you're gonna remove invasive species. Can you outline that for the commission, where these areas are, to what extent, for the record, so that I have something to go on?
Well, primarily, there is an area, this area obviously has not, it was the last area to have trees come back, so most of the invasives are in this area. This is an existing cistern in this area. As you get closer to the wetlands, well, not down here, as you get closer to the wetlands in here, there is just an emergent invasive species. In this area, it's quite extensive because there used to be a town road that came from here and went all the way across and hooked into Jockey Hollow. That was active, it was easily defined anyhow, as late as 1984 when the town topo was done. So this area, primarily right in here, which is downslope of the wetlands, of the septic system to the wetlands, is the primary area of where the invasives are. Again, we have indicated on the note, that's indicating this area in here, to a lesser extent along here. And of course, the primary area where most of them are is where the house is, and that'll go. But again, as it would be recommended that as they were cutting out the invasives in this area, all of the roots and the plants that are cut out be removed from the site because they will grow around back again, especially the bayberry.
And then one other point, and I think as you mentioned in that bullet, but you're not planning on moving any invasives into the you're not planning on removing them from the wetlands, you're just going in the area between the limit of disturbance and the wetland.
Correct, yes.
So there should be no work done in the wetlands.
Down gradient of the septic system.
Is the primary area, yes.
And the restoration will be the seed mix that's in the report.
Yes, what was recommended, again on this other site, that the trees and shrubs would be planted in beds and mulched. And between the mulched beds, you would have the grasses. So they're talking about creating groups of plants and trees.
So this invasive plant control plan that you just gave us tonight, this is specific to this lot. You said it was a derivation of what you used for 57 Jockey Hollow, or is this the one from 57?
Other than the specific, I was out there, I saw the multiflora rose, the bittersweet, and the bayberries. On 57, it listed some other plants, which I'm not capable of identifying, so to that extent, it's customized to this lot, yes.
Who would be removing, oh, the trees and shrubs should be located in the field. Okay. Who would be determining which the invasives are?
The botanist or wetland scientist, as it says, to be located in the field by a botanist or a wetland scientist.
No, that describes the trees above it that will be planted. I'm talking about which ones to be identified as being invasive.
I'm not sure I understand the question. The first paragraph lists some of the ones that I could identify.
Right, but who, like, you can't identify them all, you said. So who will be identifying them?
The botanist and the wetland scientist or wetland scientist.
Okay, so that same person will be identifying them, having
And
them
saying,
removed,
take this
and then
out.
putting the newest stuff.
Again, there will also be things such as if we find a small group over here, it's most likely not worth the disturbance. So he will direct a professional of one of those disciplines will come in here, identify which area should be cleared, what plants should be planted, and then monitor it.
You guys realize that it would be very difficult for me to document all that and provide, in other words, it's extremely general. And so you're not really participating in that process if you leave it up to that. I'm just pointing that out. It becomes very difficult because, we have a bond, we've got an approval, and the applicant, I understand that some field work is needed, but usually I have more to go on, information that the commission has seen and that you agree with and all. Otherwise, it's
We should have a written plan.
kind of loose. I
It's
mean,
very
it's like, what do you get?
Well,
I don't know until we're halfway through it. Next thing I know, I go out there and the whole area is cleared because whoever's moving in wants to have a big open yard and all the larger stuff's cleared out of there. And you're gonna get, grass planted in there. Then we've got issues with trying to keep them out of the area and trying to stop them from mowing it.
this is something that has to be done in the field. There's no way I'm gonna get a plan to show where every bayberry plant and multiflora rose is and which should be cut out. It's gotta be done in the field. That's why we are saying it has to be done by a professional, biologist, wetland scientist, ecologist, or something like that. I can't produce a plan that would be that specific. And it's not warranted. I mean, and I'm not suggesting that the guy who's on the backhoe be put in charge of this. There should be a professional on site to direct this.
I guess my only concern is that we're not really getting any detail as far as density for most of this. For the rain garden, you gave us the, 4 foot on center clusters and stuff like that. We're not getting really any numbers for this. So, I mean, I agree with you, placement is hard to do outside of the field when the removal of the old stuff happens and see where it goes. But we're not getting much detail as far as density, so, you know, how many plants, how dense, that kind of thing, you know, 4 foot on center, 5 foot on center, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What I'm suggesting is, for me, it's, if you come up with a concept for restoration, that's one thing. What I'm trying to pin down is, what areas are you talking
Where is
about?
it?
You know, it's like, seems to me that an appropriate professional can look at it and provide some information about areas that are going to be addressed. Okay, right here, there's gonna be an area, and over here, there's gonna be an area. Yeah, it just, otherwise, I'm just saying, what
It's a
gets
little
put
bit
in the
too-
file, what gets recorded, you're not seeing at all.
Mhm.
And I just wanna caution you about that, because I'm not the commission. I shouldn't be. You guys should be the ones making the decisions on that, not me.
Well, I agree, we should be making the decision. I believe the applicant is, though, telling us the areas. They are saying down there, and they're saying that the vases will be removed around the house. I guess you're right, we can't visualize it because it's not written down, but it is verbal testimony to the areas that are touched.
Unfortunately, verbal testimony doesn't play out on a plan when it comes down, you know, several years down the line, when this house comes up and becomes a reality. If this house comes up to be a reality,
Mm-hmm.
the town needs more documentation for it. And verbal testimony goes nowhere. I don't know, I'd be more comfortable if I were to have a plan. We've seen too many homeowners that place themselves in violation because they don't even realize that certain things need to be done. And even if it's in the plan, on the deed, whatever it is, this could possibly alleviate that situation and save everybody some time. Because Scott's right. Oh, that whole area is full of invasive, clear the whole thing. And that's not our intent.
No,
So-
nor is it mine,
and that's-
nor
we
would it
need
be the-
to-
That's why I say that, you know, a wetlands professor or this person, you know, knows about slope stability, and you don't clear cut a thing to get rid of the bayberries. So, but if that's what the commission wants.
That's what I would like to be. I don't know how the rest of the commission, but that and a plan for the, if we're gonna do that, then we should have a plan for the rain garden too.
Yeah, I was just trying to avoid not having to come back.
I know, I
Yeah,
know.
and get
We don't
this-
want, we don't want more on our agenda either, but, should be doing things right.
All right, any other questions or comments? Okay, so it is up to the applicant whether you want to close the hearing tonight or whether you want to submit further
Well,
testimony.
No, that's up to the commission. If we have submitted a plan for a single-family house for the renewal of a permit or the reissuance of a permit. We have proposed the rain garden, we have proposed to remove the invasive species in those areas, all to be supervised by professionals in their various fields. It's up to the commission to decide if that is enough. Thank you.
Just a clarification, you as the applicant have made a presentation to the commission, and you are the one that's deciding whether you're finished with that presentation and you want to close the hearing. Commission is indicating to you that they prefer to get additional information, so they're asking you, are you done? Are you not going to provide additional information and close the hearing, or do you want to entertain their suggestion?
Well, then I ask, is the majority of the commission wanting more information?
You know where I stand.
I would, well, no, you're good. I would like to see more information, and how does everybody else feel?
I would.
In that case, I would want to keep the hearing open to provide the, a more detailed invasive species and the rain garden planting.
Thank you.
Okay, so what we'll do is I'm gonna suggest that Donna read the exhibits, and we'll have,
Yeah, we'll do the exhibits next meeting, or you're gonna read them today?
usually we,
Yeah, we'll read them.
we would do that, and this is not a public hearing, so, but let's enter the exhibits into the file.
Go ahead, yep.
Okay. Exhibit number 1 is the Health Department comments by Rich Jackson. The document is dated September 4th, 2015. Exhibit 2 is the notification letter to Aquarian with copy of return receipts by Nick Clark. The document is dated August 26, 2015. Exhibit number 3 is the town engineer comments by Scott Schatzline, document dated October 13th, 2015. And exhibit number 4 is the planting plan submitted by Bill Carbone.
Okay. Since this is a regular hearing, there's no public testimony, but we'll be leaving it open until the next meeting for further data. Okay. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is public hearing. The first public hearing on our agenda, IWC 2015-11, has been withdrawn, so we're going to move on to the next one, which is IWC 2015-13, 285 Cutler's Farm Road, Wolf Park, regulatory activities associated with the construction of utility conduits beneath proposed permanent access path in preparation for the installation of 2 multipurpose ball fields, Town of Monroe Park and Rec Department. Good evening. Can you please give your name and information for the record?
My name is David Sacco. I'm a civil engineer with DPA Design.
Let's see, let go of the mouse there, because we gotta, where is it?
Did you take your drive out to put his in?
No, this is still on.
Did you take yours out? Oh, I did.
It like disappeared. Oh, I know why, because he moved it to the, we've got, there's a bad,
Port.
it's in the wrong port. This is what it's like.
Well, I emailed them, so it's where they will be residing.
Yeah.
Is there a second thumb drive? Did he leave it in
He
there?
left the thumb drive.
Oh, yeah, take that out.
That's his stuff. One of these USB ports is.
The orange tag is ours.
Right click on Explorer and see if it works.
There you go. Open folder,
It's,
IWC. Okay.
Good evening. This is actually a follow-up to a hearing that we had before you a little less than a year ago, 2014-14. What we're here for this evening is to present some items that have been modified from the original approval based on additional input as we move forward through the process with town staff and the Planning and Zoning Commission. We're currently before Planning and Zoning, hoping to close the public hearing tomorrow night, once we incorporate any comments and additional information from you. There are some specific changes that have been made to the plans in response to comments received moving forward. Specific changes that have been made we were asked to consider as part of the original construction of a permanent pedestrian path that we provide conduits in order to allow for the future installation of an irrigation system on the west field. So that what we're proposing to do is to provide beneath the pedestrian access path 2 6-inch PVC conduits within the footprint of the path that would be used in the future to accommodate water line and electrical and signal control lines in order to support a future irrigation system. We are not proposing to put in an irrigation system at this time. We're not proposing to actually put in the supply lines, but to put in some empty conduits so that in the future, someone could extend electricity and water to the west field without any new disturbance in the wetland area or in the wetland review area. They will be, the impact in terms of the wetland area and the review area is some excavation. The excavated soils will be used as fill in the west fields, and we'll need to use proper bedding sand around the conduits. And so there's a minor amount of material that will be displaced from footprint and moved onto the field. Another item that's been introduced is along the northwest edge of the west field, we're proposing a split rail fence to prevent people and balls, play equipment from getting beyond the limit of the disturbance. We've also been asked to consider widening the proposed pedestrian path from 8 feet as it was approved by IWC to 12 feet, and to strengthen it, to increase the cross section slightly to bear heavier traffic. One of the things that we've been discussing with planning and zoning are various alternative approaches for construction access to the field. We're not proposing changes to the permanent access, but the Planning and Zoning Commission had asked that we consider using the permanent path essentially as the construction access, rather than using what had been proposed and been approved by this commission, which was Parkview Lane. We also investigated the possibility of coming off Farmview Lane along the existing Woods Road, the tractor road that comes in to the south end of the west field. What we're asking for tonight then is permission to widen the impact of the permanent path. What we're looking at is roughly 450 square feet of additional impact in the wetland, roughly 3,000 square feet of impact in the upland review areas. That results from widening the path from 8 feet to 12 feet, and also a little, adjusting the slopes appropriately to accommodate the additional thickness. Roughly, we're ending up with an additional 5-foot strip all the way through. What we're looking at is taking about 25 yards of soil from trench excavation in the wetlands. That'll go to the west field. About 100 yards of soil from excavation for the conduit trench would go to the west field as well, rather than trying to use it or lose it in the review areas of the wetlands themselves. The total volume of imported material that would be placed is going to increase slightly, both because of the widening and because of the strengthening. So we're looking at going from roughly 175 cubic yards imported, permanently placed in the wetlands, to about 270, this is total, 175 to 270 total for all of the work in the upland review of the wetland. About 45 yards of that material would be directly in the wetlands. The balance, 225 yards, would be material placed in the upland review areas. This is a modification of the cross-section to depict how the conduits would be installed. They'd be side by side, at least 2 feet beneath the finished surface. centered roughly on the walking path. Mr. Schatzline had asked in a condition that we ensure that the conduits were set level in the two wetland crossing areas, and that we provide a trench interrupter, essentially a waterproof barrier at either end, so that the trenches themselves couldn't act as a conduit for flow into and under, or just, alter the nature of flow within the wetlands. And we're comfortable doing that. I think, the other change one other change that we've been asked to consider was there are existing stone walls to be relocated from the practice field adjacent to the tennis fields. We've been asked to, once those are relocated, reconstructed, they would like a neater appearance than, try and restore them to the appearance of an orderly wall rather than their current state, which is, a fairly rundown, deteriorated wall. And then finally, the other issue is just, we would like the flexibility, depending on the outcome of the decision by the Planning and Zoning Commission, should they prefer that we use the permanent pedestrian access as the construction access, that would represent a change from what had been approved a year ago by this commission, and we would like the flexibility to go either way so that we can accommodate everyone's preferences and interests as best we can, and try to keep little as possible. I think that's pretty much what we're looking for this evening. The overall scope of the project really hasn't changed. Where we're doing it hasn't changed. It's really some tweaking around the edges to try and satisfy some concerns expressed by planning and zoning.
All set? All right. Any questions by the commission?
Everybody else have it?
Hmm?
You have it?
Good? Nothing?
You?
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll chime in when I
usually
need to.
pull
Don't
up
worry.
I usually pull up the rear. The wetland soil to be excavated, you said you're gonna put them you're gonna use that in the west field itself?
Yes, it'll be, we can use it actually probably as suitable as topsoil because it's gonna have a fairly high organic content. We're just trying to avoid spreading it around in the wetland area itself because it's going to tend, once it's disturbed, it'll be fairly easily eroded, and we don't want to increase the impact area any more than necessary.
I'm just thinking it's poorly drained. I mean, that's what identifies the soil, so it's,
But
you'd
if
wanna
we're
mix it, I guess.
using it in the context of all of the material that's going to be excavated and relocated to grade the west field, it'll
Mhm.
represent a very small fraction. I don't think it'll
okay.
have an impact in terms of the field performance.
You might have already said, but I did not hear. How high is the fence that you're proposing in the back?
Just the details. 48 inches to the top of the post, so the top rail would be about 42 inches or so off the ground. And it would have, the appearance would be a split rail fence that'll have mesh, black vinyl clad mesh on the back side of it, so that it'll be largely invisible, but it would be an impediment to, a soccer ball rolling down the hill going into the woods.
Just as a clarification, and correct me if I'm wrong, I seem to remember planning and zoning mentioning that it may not they may not want the split rail, although that's got more aesthetic value, I believe, but because it's a ball field and there's kids and safety and that kind of thing, that the standard chain link
Right.
was also thrown around, so I believe that's outside the regulated wetland area.
Yes.
Anyway, so that, I'm pointing out,
That would be
that
a
was,
P&Z issue,
yeah,
right?
that would be a planning and zoning issue, but it may be different from what you showed.
The issue that was raised in planning and zoning was also that there's remnants of a historic road at the toe of the slope. There was a concern about disturbing that by having a lot of, activity of people running around down there looking after balls. So it was, the way we interpreted it was, we were trying to make something not too intrusive, but that provided a physical barrier to people and things getting beyond the limit of disturbance. So it's being placed at the limit of grading, not at the limit of the clear area. There's still going to be a flat area at the toe of the slope before you get to the tree line.
How large a vehicle can the currently approved road accommodate?
We were looking at it to be able to support something like a park and rec pickup truck, mowers, kind of equipment that would be typically going in and out of there in order to maintain the field. And then the occasional operation of, worst case, an ambulance. We weren't anticipating it as being something that would support construction vehicles.
But this new road that you're proposing
We're-
would support?
What we would anticipate is it would be built wider, and it would be built with more of a cross-section to support construction vehicles during construction, but the idea would be it would not get we would have enough structure built to support the construction traffic, but not put the final surfacing on it until they were working their way out. Because frankly, we'd have to do a heck of a lot more if we were gonna build essentially a bituminous road rated for a fully loaded truck. We're trying to keep this not too overbearing. We're trying to keep something that's not too imposing, because it's through woods. Just not.
So if this can accommodate construction vehicles, theoretically, it could eliminate the need for the lower construction road,
Yes,
correct?
that's the idea.
which would be to the wetlands advantage to only have one crossing as opposed to two. And yet you're asking for flexibility to be able to use two if you want to.
No, I think we would only use one. What I'm asking for is just that I honestly feel that the access that we've proposed is appropriate if managed seasonally. That path on Parkview or off Farmview is a suitable way to handle the traffic, because it is essentially already a vehicle entrance and it can bear the loads. Planning and zoning has concerns that heavy trucks are going to cause damage, that it's simply not going to be practical. We're trying to accommodate their interests. If, honestly, we only want to end up with one,
So you want the flexibility for your hearing tomorrow at P&Z?
essentially,
Not your
yes.
flexibility during
Not during
construction.
construction, just if P&Z says you have to go this way, we just want to be able to say, okay, and that's it. We close the issue, we take Parkview off the table, and we just don't do it. We're only going to do one or the other, whichever one seems to accommodate the concerns of the two commissions as best we can.
Because it would make sense to eliminate the second crossing. As long as we are, we're creating more impact by widening the original road, the first access road, the footpath. And so that would be a logical trade-off. I don't know if I would be comfortable having the availability to do both.
I don't intend that we would have both options available to a contractor. I think by tomorrow night, we're going to know which way they want us to go, and we're simply not going to show the other one on the plans any further. If that's a problem, I think we're okay just saying, we'll take the one that we have to take. We will rule out Parkview and show use the permanent access path as the construction entrance.
So your first choice is still Parkview, though?
I think it's Parkview or Farmview, either one is, to my way of thinking, if it's managed seasonally to accommodate when an appropriate act, using it in an appropriate time of year, I think it represents the lowest level of impact possible. But that's not something that some of the commissioners of planning and zoning agree with, and we're interested in getting an approval and getting the project going as best we can.
And the only reason that you're widening, I'm sorry, just while you're making your way up, the only reason why you're making the pedestrian walkway bigger is to accommodate construction vehicles during construction.
We would have to make it bigger in order to deal with that, yes.
And the
And if-
conduit,
And no, the conduit really doesn't affect the.
that didn't affect the size,
No.
okay.
Accommodate the permanent, the construction traffic, and having done the disturbance, it's, best bet is just go ahead and use it since it's there and it's built.
And if you don't end up using that for the construction equipment, are you still planning on widening it?
I think that's where we're having to go. There was a concern about the possibility that you had to take a fire engine back there or something even more substantial. That's a concern that planning and zoning has raised. I think that even if we convince them to go off of Farmview or Parkview, that we're still looking at a 12-foot path. So if it's more amenable to you for us to take the alternative construction access routes off the table and say that we're going to go this way, then I think that that's what we'll be happy to do.
Okay. There was also the issue of, I assume you're gonna have porta-johns back there. I mean, I can't imagine any poor kid having to go to the bathroom and run all the way to the bathhouse,
That's-
They do now.
but not from back here,
They do now.
so.
Good evening. Frank Cooper, Director of Parks and Recreation, to address some of your concerns. I think on one of the shots, if you can get that shot, David, Mr. Sacco and I had walked extensively on the property. If you can show the shots of the, yeah.
Frank, use the laser so that we get on the video.
One of the things, to echo what Dave was saying, was the fact that, we had walked, through, our primary desire was to utilize the existing roads. Then all of that came under fire, from planning and zoning, given the fact that they seem to think that this is gonna cause some undue harm to the wetland area. And if we utilize either the Parkview Road here or the Farmview Road here, the reality is that their concern is in and around this area there, where there, as David said, there's going to be there could be some seasonal runoff and potential damage done to a regulated area. So with that being said, they came up with the idea that it would behoove us to utilize this path here to widen it and to make it so that we could have a worst case scenario already handled, essentially, and that would be putting through their emergency vehicles, fire truck, should we ever have a fire backing through there. But to answer your question, Ms. Spence, is that yes, we're going to be having trucks going back there that would be servicing portable toilets, just like we do in the other portions of the park. So yes, this area here, or that pathway there would have to be strong enough to support, vehicles of that weight. Not that, people who go through there who service portable toilets have huge trucks. They really don't. But it has to be strong enough to support that weight.
Okay, any other questions?
This is not road related, but I had some concerns with the erosion and sedimentation controls that go directly along that portion of wetland where it butts right up, where the proposed practice field butts right up with the wetlands. I was going to request that we beef up the ENS, perhaps use a mulch berm as well as silk fence.
You're
Between wetlands flag,
in this area right here where at the limit of grading for.
yes.
Okay,
In particular, though, the section where it goes direct, that section right there.
right in here. That we
Um,
supplement the silt fence with a line of hay bales or?
Well, hay bales, I'm starting to wonder about hay bales because they carry a lot of seed. And with seed, that can travel right into the wetland area. So wood chip berms or compost berms don't have any seed like that. So I was wondering if we could do something along those lines. Just in those areas, the other has some buffer. The other question I had was, you were talking about the type of wall. What type is it? I think you said they, and were you referring to P and Z?
I was referring to, yes, the comment that came up from Planning and Zoning Commission was that we had been depicting for the configuration of the relocated walls, roughly a sort of an informal berm of stone.
The farm wall.
And what they were looking for was something that was more orderly, closer to vertical sides, squared off top, something that looked like a rebuilt formal wall as opposed to maintaining what the current condition is, which is
A crumbled wall.
a crumbled wall. So,
Well, we're kind of usually partial to the farm walls because that's more habitat friendly.
And also got more flow.
No, they're asking for a farm wall. What's out there is a berm of stones, it's just a berm. And the planning and zoning is asking for a more formed farm wall, dry masonry farm wall.
And we currently have those, those walls along the access route between the basketball courts and then concert area. Those walls are existing. So we want to try to make, the walls that are going to be adjacent to the practice field similar to the ones that are there.
So we're not talking about a mason, a very.
Oh, no.
you know.
You're talking about a rubble wall, center. That's what it's going to be.
Okay.
It's a rubble wall.
Okay, that clarifies
Nothing
things.
formal at all. That's all.
Okay, good. Okay, I think that answered all my questions.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission? Well, since Jason handled mine, so I'm all set. Do we want to read the exhibits before we go open up public comment?
Exhibit 1 is the mailing receipts. Exhibit 2 is a map titled Construction Access Alternatives, sheets 3A, 4, 5, and 7 by TPA Design Group. The document was dated December 19th, 2014, revised October 8th, 2015. There was a memorandum to Schatzline, by David, am I going to pronounce your name wrong too? Sacco. And that document was dated October 8th, and October 14th, we had the town engineer comments by Scott Schatzline, and the document was dated October 14th.
Okay, thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we're going to open it up to public hearing. As the rules stated before, try to keep your comments to a wetlands nature. First, are there any comments in favor of the application? Okay, seeing none. Are there any application or comments opposed to the current application? All right, so also seeing none. Any comments in a general nature about the current application? Also seeing none. Does the applicant want to add anything additional to the public hearing? Okay,
Can I add one thing?
yeah,
I just thought of something. Can I ask for the same kind of erosion control along the edges of the road where you're crossing the wetlands? The berm, the compost or wood chip berm. You have hay bales listed.
Right.
so just berms instead of hay bales.
So, yeah, so in this area here, substitute for the hay bale barrier, some, a mulch or,
Yeah,
okay.
please.
All right. All right. And you guys are okay with us closing the public hearing? Yep. All right. That application, or that public hearing is closed. Yeah, it's not, we're still in the meeting, I'm not gaveling. All right. Somewhere along the line, I lost my agenda. Hold on. Thank you. All right. The next public hearing is IWC 2015-14, 224 Guinea Road, regulated activity associated with removal of fill, installation of plantings within a wetland area to remediate previous disturbance. Ferriera? Did I get that right?
Sorry?
The name Ferriera?
Ferrera.
Ferrera, thank you. All right, please introduce yourself and
Sure.
your name and address for the record.
Good evening, my name is Peter Olson. I'm an attorney with an office in Bethel. My firm name is Land Use and Conservation Counsel. I'm here tonight on behalf of Cindy Nagy and Stephanie Kutakis. They are the applicants and the owners of the property. I'm also here on behalf of Joe Ferreira, who is the resident at the property. Our plan for tonight is to simply ask you to continue this hearing to your next meeting. But we've had a couple of starts and stops due to notice issues on both the town side and our side, so we thought it was important to come tonight and open the hearing and get things moving along, as well as let you know where we are and why we're asking you to continue it. This is a application for a restoration plan. It relates to work that was done 7 or 8 years ago that consisted of the placing of fill and vegetation in wetlands and water courses. The plan proposes to remove that fill down to the original topsoil. We've done test pits that show that that is still there, and restore the hydrology through this area, which was an intermittent water course, as well as a portion of a pond. The owners and Mr. Ferreira have engaged me as an attorney, Spath Bjorklund as the design engineers, and Environmental Planning Services, Michael Klein as the wetlands professional on the project to design the plan and oversee the restoration. Our primary objective has been to provide a plan to you that can bring the property into compliance, but at the same time, keeping the expenses related to the application, administration, and design to a bare minimum. That's, the three of us have really tried hard on that. The reason being, we need to make sure we have as many resources as possible available so the work actually gets done on approval. That's the most important aspect of it. In that spirit, we met with Scott Chatzline last week to go through his comment letter to the commission, where he requested some additional information. I think we've got a plan forward that will respond to Scott's concerns, get him the information he's looking for, and let us present to you a plan that can be approved by you and let us go forward with the work. So with that, we ask that you give us the time to do that. It involves some additional site work and some plan revisions, which we should be able to have back to you in time for your next meeting, which I think is the 28th?
Yes.
October 28th.
By site work, you mean like looking at the site?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
not actual.
Field,
Gotcha.
field work.
Just checking, I'm like, wait a second. All right.
Field work, yes. It involves determining the existing grade.
Okay, great. Just one question, how are we doing on timelines as far as this application goes?
Well, this is
brand
opening
new.
the hearing.
Opening it, so we're starting a new timeline right now.
Right now, it's first timeline, yeah, exactly. That's why we wanted to get it open tonight, so we didn't have that issue.
Perfect. Okay, is there anything commission like to bring, or ask the applicant as we're just kind of informally starting the procedure?
There was a lot that's missing from the application. I know most of them are outlined in Scott's letter. I hope that they are going to be provided so that we don't have to continually ask you for more
Yes.
information in order to be able to make a decision.
Yes, all the, what I consider the minor items is requested, we will respond to all at once when we've got the revised plan.
And the major issues?
Yes, that's what the revised plan are intended to
Okay,
address. But for
okay,
instance,
you said
Scott,
minor ones.
yeah, no, for instance, Scott requested a certain amount of mapping as to the existing and the prior grades. We resisted that because of the expense involved, and based on our discussion with it, which I think was very productive, we've got a plan to get the information Scott's looking for without going to that full extent. So hopefully, once we've provided it, Mr. Schatzline will provide a revised letter indicating that we've given him what he needed and responded to those concerns. I can't ask him to do that until we've done the work and he sees what we've done.
Typically, he just goes over with us the
Yeah.
letter and tells us what's received. It might not necessarily be another formal letter. So, is there anything else we want to bring up to the applicant? Nope, okay, then we will continue the public hearing to the next meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. That completes our regulated activities section of the meeting. Now we are on to violation hearings. Give the staff a little time to shuffle paperwork. Our first violation hearing is IWV 2015-11, which is 78 Stanley Road. Is the property owner here today?
So this is gonna be a previous one, right, David?
Oh, no, it isn't. Okay, so the previous.
78 Stanley.
Just go to the.
Correct.
I didn't see, because I didn't see it go that way.
Mine has green letters on it too.
To get you
Well,
Didn't
that's-
hit a green pen that day.
78 stand.
Did I get that?
It was in, yeah, it's old. It was in our, yeah, I think 2 meetings ago.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is there someone here?
No.
Oh, no one's here.
Yeah, it's just double checking. There's no property owners from 78 Stanley Road? Okay. Scott, do you want to just quickly review the violation?
Well, I can do that. If no one's here, are we going to wait for deliberation and the second part of the meeting and discuss it at that point? We
Well-
can move on for the sake of other people that have been here, or?
So, yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yeah,
That way others don't have to.
yep, don't have to wait for people to show up. Okay, so we're going to close 78 Stanley Road and open up IWV 2015-12 104 Stanley Road. Is the property owner here? Please feel free to come on up. Thank you for coming.
I'm Tony Ramos, it's my wife, Timothy Ramos.
And both live at 104 Stanley Road?
Yes.
Great. So just to go over a little bit what we do here today, basically, is we have a violation that we're displaying up on the projector. We're going to listen to your testimony in regards to this violation, get a little background, get any information you want to present to the board as a whole. After this is closed, after we believe we have all the information, then we will go into deliberations and decide what the course of action is. So feel free to present anything you'd like about this property.
Well, they said there's a wall there where the purple is, I guess, the retaining wall that's there, that is too far into the wetlands, or?
So just to go over the plan, so basically, the area in purple is basically marked as unapproved activity. You'll see the green line, I believe, Scott, is the LOD.
You want me to explain?
Yeah, sure, let's let our
So-
engineer go through it, that way
So
you guys have the same
The
information.
dotted red line is the limit of the upland review area. That's 100 feet from the wetlands, which is this green. Wait, hold on. Okay, so the green here is the wetland. Technology, hold on. All right, I'm gonna use the mouse. So this green area is the wetland. We have the 100-foot line. The purple area is the area within the regulated zones that has been disturbed. So this whole area here has been altered without permit. Anything within the 100 feet, and certainly the wetlands, needs to be regulated through a permitting process. The blue line that you see here, that line is, I believe, the conservation easement. So there is a conservation easement on this property. So everything from this line this way, all this area, so 2/3 of this disturbed area has been an area that's been disturbed in the conservation easement, which is a prohibitive zone protected through a deed covenant. So there are two issues with that. In addition, there is a building here that does not have a what? Yeah, that's what I was getting to. A building, a shed with no permit from the building department, so there's no permits that we know of for that. There's two of them, I guess. There's one there, and there's one here, and there's a third one right in here. In addition, there is a line, the property line.
There's only two.
There's only
I'm
two.
sorry, okay, sorry.
The upper one you see, and that's a garden there.
I'm sorry, okay, all right. David's more familiar with this than I am, so I'm just trying to interpret it. And this orange line here is the property line. So beyond that, this area down here is open space, and the encroachment extends into the open space, and in this area into the wetland. So that's basically what the violation is, and this is the point in time where a notice has gone out to you. The commission has requested that we send that out to you, and this is your opportunity to talk to the commission, kind of in an informal way, to just talk about what your understanding is of what's out there, what you were trying to do, what you intend to do, that kind of thing. What the commission does at this point is, after hearing and discussing it with you, they're going to discuss it among themselves and decide what type of process is needed in order to resolve it, if any process. You know, sometimes there may not be any need for anything to happen, but they would then, after they discuss it with you, talk it over among themselves and decide how they would like you to address it, and then once they decide that, then we're off on a different process, and we'll take that as a comes. So, with that, go ahead.
The wall that you see there, that was surveyed by the surveyors. That wall was put in before I built the house. I have the paperwork
Letter from SPAT.
from,
I'm sorry, what wall are you talking about?
the wall
There's
down
a
below.
pointer
The wall that's
on
in
the
the,
podium there.
Oh, yeah.
There's a little red dot in the middle. There you go.
this wall here,
That's a wall, okay.
and there's nothing done below here. Below the wall, there's just woods.
Okay, well, the information we have is that it's been cleared to that purple line, and some of the growth is back. We're getting some of this information off of the pictometry that we have, the aerial pictometry. I believe David is here, he's our inspector, and David went out to the site, met with them, and they, correct me if I'm wrong, but you didn't want any photos taken, so he didn't
Yeah,
take any photos.
There's reasons for that.
Yeah, so all we have to work on at the moment is the aerial image and David's recall and report on the, what's out there.
Yeah, well, when David came out, he could, from here all the way to here, that's all wooded. As a matter of fact, I planted trees over that wall. Where this wall is, there's trees there. The only place that's cleared is a piece down here like this. So, but anyway, the wall was surveyed by SPAT. And I have the paperwork stating that he surveyed it
Because there was some
when
question.
it was built. He went out there and staked the wall out.
There was some question that we put a wall there in a driveway in without, without permission or without having anything surveyed. We went back to the SPAT and what they didn't need back then, what didn't they need? I can't explain that.
Well, they said that the wall was in the wrong place.
They said it's in the wrong place,
Yeah,
okay?
that's
Where is-
what,
Where's it
I
supposed
guess
to be?
that's where you're showing the.
I think
Joe
dotted line.
Chapman is the one who told me that the wall is in the wrong place.
Yeah, and I'm gonna guess that the wall probably was installed. The goal of installing the wall was probably to put it along the conservation easement. Again, the conservation easement is an area that is deed restricted. You're not allowed to do anything within a conservation easement. And usually, a lot of times what happens is when a house is built, they'll put a wall in right along that line to kind of help discourage any activity in there and mark what the conservation easement. I'm gonna guess that the goal was to put it in, and from what we're seeing is it doesn't look like it, as you said, it was put in the wrong place. It doesn't look like it's where it's supposed to be. And
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
Yeah,
It
and-
doesn't
and
look
it-
like-
And in addition to that, there's additional, as you said, some clearing down in here
Yeah.
and two sheds. And is this paved, I guess?
No,
All right, but there's a driveway
it's a-
along this
Is it
side.
gravel?
I left it as a service driveway when I gotta bring stuff in the house to,
Yeah.
to the basement to get service, whatever.
Okay, so that's the concern. I guess the other concern by zoning is that these sheds in this area was used for a home-based type business that's not,
That's
you hear anything like
No,
that?
that's my lawnmower shed, and the other one is actually my chicken coop and my
Okay,
doghouse.
okay.
So there's
So
no.
again, that's, the purpose of this is to get clarification.
Yeah, of course.
We don't have the whole story.
But, I don't know if you want a copy of, I have a couple of copies of from SPAT stating that they surveyed out, they're the ones who came out and pinned that wall for me.
Yeah, I think that the concern or the issue isn't that they pinned the wall. The issue is that the wall was put in the wrong place.
But
Well, that's where that's where they staked it
and
out,
then the
that's
town came
the
out,
conservation
paid
easement was
that
right
with
there, that's
SPAT
where
back.
they're the ones who came
In
and staked out this
2000.
easement for me, so I could put the wall in.
Yeah,
And like I said, that wall was in before I put the house up, because that wall there's certain spots that's 8 feet tall, you've seen it when you were there. It's a big do
you have a survey of where it is? Did
Yeah,
they?
did Beth give you a map of where that is located on the map?
No, he just.
I gave you guys copies, I don't know, I'm sure you have the same thing I have. I don't know if it shows the wall or not.
These are the ones.
Okay, thank you. Trying to give it to Donna, she could check it in.
Well,
The
well,
same one?
first.
Are they
The
the
same
same
one, it's
same
three
one?
copies I
Okay.
have.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, this would be the wall. I guess, huh? This here? Yeah, that's the upper wall. So this would be it, which line here is?
Yeah, David, can we also get Scott to have a look at that survey too? Thank you.
Yeah. I've got to look into this further because it's not lining up with, and it's not even close. So something's drastically wrong. I don't know why, but clearly there is still disturbance in areas that should not be disturbed, but we can, hopefully, it looks like they've got some information here with staff. We can contact them and kind of clear that up.
Clear up
as
where
far
the
as what
conservation
we're looking
easement
at.
starts and the
I
mall
mean, this is
starts.
a good start because it's good information that's here, so this is your only copy?
No, I gave, I dropped off the other day for Joe. I dropped 3 copies
Oh, so,
of that.
okay.
That's my copy.
That's for a barn, right? For the barn,
Well,
was there
it's-
an application?
It's the only maps I got, so
Okay.
they're for whatever, yeah.
Okay,
as long as
so-
we're
Whatever
done
he
with
asked
two-
for, we dropped
Yeah,
off.
just so the commission knows, there are two different separate issues. I guess there's a barn here that's obviously existing, you're seeing it in the pictometry. That doesn't have a permit, that they're in the process of retroactively going through the process to make that compliant. And what you're saying is you use this survey plan to do
Yeah, it's
that.
the same plan.
Yeah, so we can take a look at that. And,
Yeah, he told me just to sketch out the barn where it is.
all right. Well, so that element I can get clarification on.
So the other area is obviously the clearing down by the 2 sheds, as well as the sheds being in the inside the red line. Are those sheds movable?
Yeah, this one here, this shed here is on 4 blocks. It's on 4 cinder blocks.
Okay.
That's, I keep my lawn
The
equipment
other
in.
shed doesn't look like
And
this.
the other one here, I put it's on a slab. I put a slab down, built on top of it. Like I said, half of it is my doghouse, the other half is my chicken.
Okay.
And down here, I did clear, there's like a water hole here, and my kids used to go down there all the time and play, catch frogs and stuff, so I did rake out some leaves. There was no woods there. It was pretty clear. All I did is move some rocks, put them on the edge, and I raked out some leaves here and put some grass seed.
Okay.
You know, about 20 feet of it, you know.
Would you be opposed to putting down like a seed mix as well as some shrubs to restore the area?
I stopped cutting the grass already since all this came about. I stopped, you know, because I used to cut the grass there, so I stopped, which now it's like hay. So everything's gonna just grow there anyway. 'Cause that's, I mean, if you don't maintain it, it's just gonna
It's
grow
gonna grow
wild
back,
anyhow.
yeah. The only concern we have is that once it's disturbed, then plants that don't belong there tend to grow back, so.
Yeah.
It's better if we build a buffer with the plants that should be there versus, shouldn't, so that the other plants don't get a foothold. But, a landscape architect or something can look at that for you and say, these plants should or shouldn't be here. Is how the commission like to treat that. So obviously, we have to figure out the easement versus the roadway and work with SPAT. So that we'll take that issue separately, but the clearing area down below, how would the commission like to go?
What,
Well, we got all the information, right? And we can deliberate.
well, I mean, one of the things I was gonna suggest is, it's not something you have to do right away, because it's obviously the conditions are what they are. But if you have any interest in seeing this might be something you need to see. I don't know, you have to decide.
Well,
At that, while you're doing that, I can work with this information that they're providing and call SPAT and see if I can get some clarification about this.
so my only concern, not really a big concern, but if we don't know where the lines are, visiting it might not necessarily help us too much yet.
You
Yeah,
can still see what was done around the wall.
yeah, you can still see the
and-
wall,
and
what's.
on the town property.
Okay.
We can still.
Well, we don't
in the
know if
meantime,
it is
as I
town,
said,
you know what I mean?
I could try
Right,
to.
just
We don't know where the
follow it
line
down
is.
from where well, if we were to presume the wall is there, we would at least see what was happening around the wall.
Okay,
And then when we do know where it is,
then we can,
Right.
Here's
We
the
can
thing,
adjust our sites.
here's the thing I find very puzzling is that we've got an as-built that locates the house, right? I have a dimension, 100.5 feet. Well, it's plus or minus, but on this scale, that's good. So we have an as-built survey information that locates the distance from the house to the property line. We have aerial pictometry, so we have literally a photograph looking down on the house. We've outlined the house, drew the dimension, and confirmed the distance to the property line.
Mhm.
We have a survey that shows the conservation easement line, so we can superimpose that on where we plotted the property line. So we are pretty darn close
Mhm.
with what we got here, and this is 1 inch equals 30. This is 25 feet away from the conservation easement line.
Into
I mean,
conservation.
if I was like 4 feet or 5 feet, I could say, okay,
No big deal.
I'm not too accurate with our GIS information. We're 25 feet away. So,
I think it still begs to be looked into.
yeah, certainly. So while I'm doing that, you guys can do your thing, and then we can kind of revisit it if you
Okay.
want. We could stick it on next meeting, which is next month.
Right.
And
Would you be okay with us visiting the site?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Do you need to be called ahead or?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And we have their.
Well, just to make an appointment, so I'm sure I'm there when you guys come.
Yeah, that's fine.
You know.
The only thing to just note is that we're not really allowed to discuss it outside of a public meeting, so really, all we can do is ask
Just go
you,
look, yeah.
here's where this line is, here's where this line
Absolutely.
is.
What kind of dogs are in those houses?
No, they're beagles.
Alright.
Yeah, no, they're
They all
not
say
vicious.
they're little, and then
They're not vicious dogs, no.
One of our commissioners has a phobia. And just not, you don't have to do it on the record, but if you could just check with the office, make sure we have a phone number that will work, that helps us book
Yeah.
call you and all that stuff.
Okay, so we have your map, so you could have this back.
Yeah, there you go.
Those letters you can keep, he emailed that to me.
Make sure
That's
it's
great.
okay. No calls before. Here's the letter.
Yeah,
There's a couple
I called Jason Spat and asked him for the S-bill on that. He
That's
said
what-
back then, they didn't require an S-bill, so he doesn't have one. Just so if you call
That's
him,
why
I'm giving you a heads
that's
up.
why he gave us the
He's gonna
letter
tell you
to
that
say
same
that
thing.
he remembered the spade, the spot.
But he said I could
here,
give you
there,
something
here.
in writing saying that, you know, we did go out and stake that wall. And that's what he gave me.
The house was built in what year?
2000,
That's when we started.
2000? There's no as-built required?
No.
Oh,
Well, there was an as-built required, and that's where we plotted
so that's a,
the
yeah,
distance from the house to the property line. The as-built apparently didn't pick up the conservation easement, the wall. I was unaware that there was a wall. So I'll double-check the approval on that and see where this wall even came from.
okay.
You know, it's a possibility the wall just showed up, you know, and as a solution to mark the conservation easement. You didn't come across anything that talked about a wall for conservation, right? Yeah, so it's more research on our part, I guess.
I did talk to Wetlands, as a matter of fact, before I built the wall, they told me to get your surveyor to go out and stake out where you could put it.
Okay, so,
And that's,
So there
that's
should
when
be
I
all
called
records of all
Spat,
of
because
that.
he's the one who did the whole site, and he went out and staked that wall
all right, so something's not lining up, so.
We'll figure it out.
All right.
We'll get to the bottom of it.
Okay,
Thank you.
That's,
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much
for
for your
coming.
time.
okay, thank you.
And I'm sure somebody's got my number, my cell phone, my home number. to call.
It might be with what you gave Joe, I'll check.
Yeah,
on
he
it.
has it, because he
Cell
called me
phone.
anyway, so he has it.
Yeah, we have
All
your
right, just give me a call, you
information.
know, just give me a day's notice or whatever. and you can
Perfect.
come down.
Okay.
Thank you.
We try to do it in groups so we don't disrupt you multiple times.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
But it doesn't always work out, but, all right, next violation, IWV 2015, number 13, 38 Webb Circle. And the applicant, or the property owners are here, thank you for coming. We'll go through the same procedure, we'll have Scott explain it, the violation, and then get your testimony.
I'm
And-
Christina Silva, the owner.
Okay.
Hi, Priscilla.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And you're all live at this address, or?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Perfect, okay. Scott, you want to start?
Yeah, I'm trying to get reacclimated to it, so,
Just go from property to property to property.
we don't have enough.
this is what we do.
I'm on Christina.
Okay, so here is the report that we, at this point, you guys got a copy of this as well?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so here's the report that we did. There are some associated permits, and wrote this information is the,
Oh, this one I don't have that.
okay, this is just the background. I thought that went, well, we can look into that. I thought that went out to you. Anyway, the description of the violation is unpermitted shed and hutch structure, zoning, wetlands, within a regulated upland review area. That is, again, the area that's within 100 feet of wetlands. That is what's regulated by the Inland Wetlands Commission. And planting of non-native invasive species within a regulated upland review area and regulated wetlands area. That is the planting of bamboo, which is very thick and well established. And the unpermitted gardening use within a regulated upland review area. Unpermitted meaning it doesn't have a permit. It's not saying that it couldn't have a permit, it just there isn't one at the moment. So this is the sketch of the area. You see the house there. Let me get this a little smaller. So the red dashed line, well, let's start here with the green. The green shaded area is the wetlands that we know of. We've dimensioned the upland review area, the area that's regulated by the commission, the area that you need a permit to do something in. That 100-foot area is, the limit of it is shown with this red dashed line. And there are some unapproved shed structures which are located here, here, and here. These 1, 2, and 3, I guess those areas there. The property line is this orange line, which runs around this entire area here, you can see. And the area of disturbance is this purple area that you see shaded in here. A good portion of it is within this wetland. I guess this kind of white, cloudy looking area is, I gather, is the area of the bamboo. That's where the thick bamboo is. And the rest of it has been cleared, and there's a garden there, I guess. And I guess the garden is in this area in here, Dave? And, okay, so, and then this other areas here and here and around this have been cleared to some extent. And that, I believe, is everything, right? Did I leave anything out?
Can I just?
Go ahead, speak up.
Okay.
You can, it'll pick you up.
Oh, okay. Just real quick for the record, my name is David McCollum, and I'm Wetlands Inspector for the town of Monroe, in addition to being tonight's recording secretary. Just as clarification to the commission, the area of the garden that you see, if I may borrow the pointer real quick, Scott, how do you just press the button? Okay. The area of the garden kind of exists up to where this wetlands line is. It kind of goes up to the shed here. This area here where the bamboo, or so I believe that to be exists, is heavily wooded. This area where the garden exists, it's not a well-maintained garden, I will say. It looks like it's in a state of, it hasn't been kept up as a garden, as you would presume a garden to be. This structure right here, these are just hutches for rabbits and if I remember correctly, chickens? Okay. And this larger shed, I don't know what its purpose was originally to be used for, but it's in an unfinished state. So it isn't currently being used for anything right now. And I will say there is no storage of any materials outside of it on any sides. As a matter of fact, if you go to the back sides here, it pretty much it pretty much abuts right up to the areas that are heavily wooded, as I suggested before, where I would presume the bamboo is to be found. If you'd like to embellish more, there is some photography, Scott, that you can review later in the presentation that kind of gives.
I can flip through it now if you want.
Yeah. So those are the hut structures there. Down there below is the shed that I referred to. This shot was taken in April, so when I was out there to review the site, it was overgrown. The conditions weren't indicative of it being actively used, as you may think a garden would be. I think this area back here is a good indication of where the bamboo would be. This clearing right back here is an actual pond, which I was not able to physically determine was there on site. So just because of the nature of how thickly wooded this was back here in this area, but that aerial kind of confirms that it's there. That's just another angle of it. That's probably the best angle relative to what you saw on the violations presentation, or the potential violations map before. You can scroll through the pictures. If the commission has any questions, just scrolling through those real quick. Feel free to ask me. Oh, yeah. You might want to zoom out on the overall size of the image there, just to. Okay. And there is that mower there, but besides that, there's no other outside storage of any kind around this shed. There we go. That's probably, the way you had it before, Scott, is probably the best. That's perfect. That's the garden looking out from the area of established lawn there. As you can see, it's fairly weeded. That's not any plants that are maintained of any kind, at least from what I could see out there. It's of an overgrown nature out there.
Just the garden area, right?
Yep. That is of the structure that's for the rabbit league. Okay. Right. Within the garden area, or the area that's the majority of which is overgrown.
Well, yeah, okay, so it looks like it's somewhat of an active garden.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
That
it's
small area is.
So that shows you the thick vegetation you couldn't get through.
Right, that's towards, in fact, the pond is probably sitting right back behind that thick vegetation that I'm pointing to there with the laser pointer.
Were you able to determine what that vegetation is?
I'm not confident to say whether or not this is of an invasive nature or whether it's naturally occurring.
Can you zoom in a little on that, Scott? Well, it looks like jewelweed. Okay.
Looks like a mile a minute.
Mm-mm. No, that's jewelweed, judging by the flowers, which is a native species. Actually, it's a natural
Is that
antidote
a mile
for
a
poison
minute?
ivy. That's what I hear. I've never done that.
This-
No, mile a minute would be halfway to the house by now.
If I'm seeing it properly, you know, it's.
You got a lot of pictures here, Dave.
You certainly did.
Well, I figured more
More is better.
More is better than less.
It's a good thing we don't use film
There's the
anymore.
There's the
bamboo.
bamboo, yeah.
Let's hear from the.
That's what I saw. Now, be advised that I wasn't able to get, that shot is zoomed in, just to clarify, just trying to access that. You probably need a machete or something of that nature, to just try to get back a little bit better. That's just the edge of the stand where it existed.
Okay, thank you, David. We'd like to give the not the applicant, the property owner some time to testify, so.
That back shed, it's in the process of being demolished. That shed existed when we first bought the house in '89.
The one that's not being used right now?
The one towards the back, the brown one.
The one that that tractor was next to.
No, that's the other one.
The other one, so that where the chicken and bunny.
Is there a list?
Which one is it? So approximately right here is what she's talking about.
Right, that one.
Yes, I guess it's right there.
Yeah.
So that's been
So if you
but
keep
that-
flipping through.
Okay.
But that shed existed when we first bought the house in '89. And we came to find out that was never permitted. This one here on the left. Oh, yep.
The one
This-
that has the tractor.
Okay.
Yes. My husband did build that shed without the knowledge that it needed to have a permit. We come to find out that the shed, it's too close to the road. My question is, according it's 15 feet off, we need to move the shed for 15 feet. I would ask, like I said, you did not know that we need to have the square footage for it, if there could be oversight. So he doesn't have to move it or demolish it.
Due to it was just, it's 15 feet. So to move it, we were looking, it's what, how much?
Over $2,000.
Yeah, so for 15 feet,
The whole
We didn't
structure
know
would
what-
have to be moved completely, I mean.
right, for, a few thousand. So we didn't know, what your opinion was on that.
And how to go about it, I mean,
Right,
from your
for
expertise
15
and knowledge.
So from the property line and the road, that's not really our territory. That's
Oh, okay.
that's zoning.
Okay.
So
Well,
we're.
it is in the upland review there.
Right. Well, no,
Yeah.
the shed is in the upland review area in that red dotted line. So
Okay.
that where it's placed is in our purview, but the regulate we can't vary. We can't say
Can't tell you.
we can't tell you that the 15 feet is there's less than 15 feet is okay because that's a zoning
Understood.
regulation,
Okay.
not our commission.
That's a zoning thing.
Our
Um,
issue with it is that's inside of that red dotted line.
Okay.
That's the issue, because it's within 100 feet of the
Which-
wetland.
It's
Which
fine.
isn't, I mean, it's not in the wetlands. It's not an issue that's there. It's the issue that we don't have a permit for it.
Okay.
Okay.
So, I mean, we do, if I'm understanding this right, Scott, from the purple swirled areas, those were areas that originally were not, yard?
Yeah, you can see on the edge of the purple
Yeah,
is this curved nomenclature here.
yeah,
That is the woods in 2000, excuse me, in 1984 or 85, 84, 85, the town topo was flown and we came up with the topo at that point, topography. And they identified that as the edge of woods.
okay.
So we can pretty much look at that and know that from there, if this is all cleared, we can know what was cleared because we have a representation of where the woods were.
So, yeah, typically, if it is in an area that is already disturbed, already considered limit of disturbance, then that can be handled by the office through a shed permit and the wetlands application that way. If it is in a new area of disturbance, that's normally when an application would come to us to put something, to expand the limit of disturbance of the property.
So to clarify, is this a new area of which avenue are we going? Is what I'm trying to-
No, and that's something we'd have to decide. Right now, we're just trying to, we're trying to explain where the regulations come into effect. The 15 feet from the road and from the property line, that sadly, that's outside our purview. That's pretty much what I want to say about that. So is there anything else about the garden area or
The
anything like
garden
that?
area, my husband, when he first did the garden, he was younger, so he was able to upkeep it. Now he's older and that's why it's smaller. The chicken coop, we do have the chicken coop, and we have 6 chickens and 4 ducks, and we have 3 male rabbits, 3 females and 1 male. Let's see. And again, I did when we first decide to build the chicken coop. I did call the town, and they said they need to be, I believe, 100 feet from property line. This is why we put the sheds in that area there.
Right.
The bamboo existed, we bought the house in '89, it was existed. And we like the bamboo only because the birds, they love being there in the winter. That's their habitat for the winter. So we really haven't done anything with the bamboo.
Since you moved in, has the bamboo grown anywhere?
Oh,
Or is
yes.
it has expanded?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the fun type of bamboo that likes to grow.
But, I mean, it doesn't expand, it just grows.
It grows high, it's
grows
not
high,
expanding
yeah.
an area, okay,
Right.
that's
It
what I
grows high, and we like it, like I said, because the birds in the winter, they just love being there. We like to hear them chirp in the winter, that's why we haven't done anything to it.
Right, and there's certain types of bamboo that the roots shoot out and it starts growing, it basically takes over your whole yard. So that's why I asked if it is expanding in circumference, because if that's
It's not
a
so,
much worse
because
invasive.
I don't know what kind of tall bamboo that is, but it's growing up rather than out.
Yeah, because the garden, it's there, and the garden is not invaded. It's weeded, but it's not full of bamboo.
Right. And it sounds like at least it's
We
a,
probably need to have some kind of report by a professional that could actually look at the bamboo and tell us what kind it is, because there are some that are kind of not dangerous, I don't mean dangerous, but
not coming after you.
it's a strange word. There are some that are so incredibly invasive and so damaging to the area habitat that we really have to keep very, very close control of it. There are others that are not so bad. So we would need some kind of a report from a professional that tells exactly what kind it is and what his or her recommendations would be regarding it.
So regarding the bamboo.
yeah. While you have them, it might not be a bad idea just to ask them in general their recommendations for the area. The big concerns we have is, of course, restoring wetlands buffers, where we want to protect the wetlands from daily use of your yard, that kind of stuff. So they were also a similar professional that could tell you that, how to rebuild that buffer.
Okay.
All that, though, would be, I'm guessing, part of some kind of application process that we
Well,
get.
again, you have to
That's a
decide, you have to
deliberation
talk
part.
afterward
Yeah.
and decide
We have
what
to discuss.
process.
Yeah.
To know.
Is this something you guys want to see, or were the photos good enough?
We had a lot
I
of
think I'd like
photos.
to see it,
Would you?
actually.
I was kind of okay with the photos, but.
You know, happy with the
Shall we have a discussion?
I think 30 photos were pretty good, yeah.
photos? 31 would have been.
32, or no, wait, we got 32, so.
If there was only one more.
That would be the
We're
decision.
just kidding, David.
Yes.
Don't have to take anything.
It's thorough.
He's thorough.
It's extremely thorough, which is great. Well, would you mind if we were to come and look at it?
No, I mean,
So yeah, just
Wouldn't
maybe,
be opposed,
we can have a
exactly.
phone call, just so at least someone is there.
yeah.
Sure. And as you heard with the previous person, we can't really talk about it while we're there.
Yeah, understood.
We're just there to look.
Yeah, it's just more, I'm a teacher, we go work in school, you know, we're not really.
Are your ducks attack ducks?
We
Duck bites
have-
hurt.
So
we have
Duck
a-
bites hurt.
we're finding out that Jason's actually afraid of all animals, not just dogs.
They're
Thank-
not gonna come after you.
The chickens.
Thank you for coming.
The chickens.
We just probably want to make sure, not on the record, but make sure your phone number's right in the records and all that. But, other than that, is there any other questions for the applicants while they're here? Keep saying applicants, I'm sorry, property owners.
So just so you understand what,
Yes.
they're gonna talk about it, and they're gonna, I guess they're gonna, not really talk about it tonight, they're
No.
gonna wait and go look at it. Then after they go look at it, they talk about it, and they decide how to, or what type of process you should use to address whatever they think you need to address, if anything. All right, so at some point, it will be after the 28th of next month, you would get a letter from us indicating what they had come up with. You're certainly welcome to come to the next meeting next month and listen as well. But you would then, we'd communicate with you as far as what they come up with. as to what process, and then from there, we take it a step at a time for the rest of it.
Just to make sure we're clear with them too, the professional part, the engaging a professional would be for?
It should be before, so we should have that information before we decide what has to be done. Shouldn't we?
So prior to the
Otherwise, it's after the fact, and we may have to change course.
Right, my question, I guess, is more process-driven. I mean, this is an informal process, so we're allowed to receive information after the hearing, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
okay,
this-
then we should be fine. Yeah, if you could provide that by that time, that'd be very
So
helpful.
the only thing we have to provide is a report of, okay, the bamboo. Is that what we need to
Right
provide?
now, right now,
just get a
Yes.
specialist.
until we,
Geared
yeah,
towards
until we
it.
That,
figure out what's
that,
going
that
on.
gives us the information we need to deliberate, yes.
The bamboo,
Okay.
okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, all right. That ends our hearing portion. Now we're gonna move on to deliberations. We're gonna do, section 7, deliberations on completed hearings from this meeting. All right, we got one continued, one withdrawn, one closed. Okay, so IWC 2015-13, 285 Cutler's Farm Road, Wolf Park. If there's any discussion, or I can entertain a motion.
And move to approve IW 2015-13 with conditions.
Motion by Lois,
Second.
second by Jason. Okay, let's, do you want to start with Scott's conditions, or do you want to do yours first, Lois?
His is always a good place to
All
start.
right, fair enough. Go ahead, Scott.
Okay, so I gave you a bunch of informatives. So we would move on to administrative. Actually, I've already revised the application to address these two things. So the first one, the application form should revise reflects this application as modification. I've already done that, so it's no longer needed. I revised it and initialed it since it's the town. The applications form section 14 and 15 should be revised to reflect that the above list of modifications are included in the application. Let me just switch this, hold on a second. I'm still trying to.
What are we doing right now?
Oh, God.
No, I know, but it's,
You mean you actually, oh,
Okay,
man.
so,
oh, we're on TV.
we're back on Panda to the commission here. So the second item, items 14 and 15, sections 14 and 15 on the form, I've also revised that and initialed it, so that doesn't need to be part of it. Under technical, the plan should be revised to indicate the area of trench interrupters on each side of the wetlands. He'd agreed to do that, so I'll work with him to get that done, and so that would remain as a condition of approval, if you agree. And item technical C2, the miscellaneous details, I'm just looking for some clarification and a note on the detail sheet, so that would also remain as a condition of approval, if you agree. You had asked for supplemental measures in the area on the west side of the practice field in terms of providing a compost or wood chip berm along the silt fencing. I'm assuming you want to keep that in. And you also asked for the same wood chip or mulch berm added along the silt fencing of the wetland crossings
Instead of the hay bale.
instead of hay bales.
Remove them seeds.
Okay, and there is no bond recommendation since it's the town. And that's all I had, and I don't know what you want to add to that.
So the one I want to talk about as a commission is that whole 4 different paths or 3 different paths. How do we want to handle that?
My preference would be to have just the one wetland crossing. and eliminate what they're calling number 1 and 2 on 3A. Because that is a wetland crossing, and there was a lot of unknowns having
With
to
the
do
other
with
stuff.
that crossing.
There's a corduroy road, there's a whole bunch of stuff.
Right,
And I
since
think
this
we didn't
crossing,
want it to go through the park because it was gonna be a narrower path, and now they're saying it's gonna be a wider path anyway.
It'll be a
right?
12-foot path no matter
Basically.
what.
And do we know, planning and zoning wants them to go take the one, I'll call it through the park, but you know what I'm getting at there, right? That's what they want, right?
They're
They prefer
suggesting
number
that
3.
they go
Number 3.
through the park, and the point that they're raising is that if they're gonna build a pike, bring in their construction equipment in and disturbing one area, the response, and they didn't really talk too much about it tonight, but the response also was that they were a little concerned about damaging existing infrastructure within the park. You know, the existing parking lot, the existing paved area between the basketball court and the pavilion, et cetera. That was a concern, but.
That was a concern on the part of the Parks and Rec, not,
The Parks and Rec.
not P and Z.
Not P and Z.
Okay.
And that kind of is what led them to focus on the farm road that existed. And they thought, what's the harm? The farm road exists, and why not use it? But P and Z had issues about the access from the nearby roadways, and they had some concerns about the wetlands as well.
And yeah, there was also wetlands at those 2 other
There are, yeah,
locations.
there are.
I walked
Which is,
that.
yeah, which is to Lois's point, in that upper road through that cul-de-sac in that residential area, they have to cross wetlands twice.
Yep.
Yes.
And they only have to do it once if they go through the park, and they're gonna build that road through the park anyway.
Right.
So, I don't understand why this is
I
still a
think we
question.
ought to stress that.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
So basically, in your
One.
conditions, then, what you're saying is you want the construction access limited to the proposed pathway.
Well, they proposed 3 pathways, so I think we have to be a little more
Proposed what?
specific on that. They
Number-
proposed
number-
3
They
pathways,
call it
so.
the
Yeah.
pedestrian walkway, don't they? or
Right,
something
Yeah.
like that?
pedestrian
I think
walkway,
it's-
or it's number 3 on
Alternative
sheet
number
3A.
So you want them to eliminate use of, I mean, it's there, but you don't want them using the other farm road to the south.
Mhm.
You want them to utilize the pedestrian pathway that they are building, the 12-foot wide pathway.
Right.
Am I on
as their
base, or is that sounding
No,
right?
I mean,
No, you're right.
I don't necessarily want to, like, I don't, like, this is funny enough, but I want to make like a recommendation to zoning that we prefer this path as well. But I don't, if it's something else comes up, I don't necessarily want it to come back as a whole nother application either. Yeah, I mean, like, if they use the farm road, they have to use the farm road. We approved it one other time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you did, yeah, you're right, that approval stands on its
That,
own.
on its own, so they could
That's
do
right.
it with that approval if they didn't have to put this conduit.
So I guess at this
No, it's
point,
the conduit is not the issue, it's the larger vehicles.
Well, the conduit's what's making
But-
this
and we approved it-
application come
We
in.
approved it with an 8-foot pedestrian walkway, not a
That's
12-foot.
true. They couldn't do the 8, the
reinforced
12,
So-
or 6.
so acknowledging your previous approval, you are indicating that you prefer the new construction access over the pedestrian pathway.
Mhm.
I think,
But
I
obviously,
like the
they
way
have- They
that,
have the option to use.
Park and
I like
Recs
the way
doesn't
that's
want that though, because they don't want the dump trucks and all that stuff coming through the parking lot.
right,
Right, but they're also agreeing to acquiesce to planning and zoning.
right. So I think
And
that's,
to us if we ask,
And,
yeah, I
said
think
that.
I think you worded it very well.
yes.
you know, like,
Just have to
nice
remember.
10-cent
I
word.
know, wait.
I just think if they're building the thing anyway, and it's still only a 1 wetland crossing,
That's
why you could put 2 more in there?
No, I agree, it just, we've approved that other use, that's all I'm saying.
It was a different approval though, I think.
It was a different approval, but it
Right.
can stand on its own if they did it the other way.
Mhm, That's true.
But they'd have to get,
They'll
that
never get-
other
You
proposal
have a
through
good
zoning.
point, don't make it
They'll
a
never
rule.
get the trucks in.
Right,
You gotta have those porta johns.
gotta have those porta johns.
I'll tell you what, my daughter had soccer practice on that practice field on Saturday, and that wall definitely needs to be rebuilt.
Really, huh?
Yeah, it's dangerous, it's like rocks, it's not even a wall, it's just rocks
Oh.
like flowing.
Hmm.
Okay, are there any other conditions?
That's the only other one is I wanted to make sure that it actually was going to be a farm wall. Because when they stated it in the application, what did they say?
Yeah, it's clearly that, I mean, they were talking about the fact that it was just this loose berm of rocks.
Pile of
And they're like,
rocks.
why is it a loose berm of rocks? It's like, 8 feet wide. Why don't you make it into a standard, typical farm wall that is?
So can we just
It
say,
looked like, to me, it looks like, I spent a considerable amount of time there, it looks to me like it was at one time a very large farm wall. And it
And somebody stole the rocks?
got knocked over.
Well,
And
the
it kind of
story that
spread
I
out.
heard was that when they developed the park, they took out some walls and they just threw all the rocks over there. So
Oh.
what started out as a small farm wall became this big wide berm of
Yeah.
rocks.
so can we just say no wet masonry?
Yeah,
No,
actually,
no cement
The
walls.
wall that they're talking about is not,
Right.
it's not in the regulated area. Anyway, I'm getting confused with the,
Oh, yes, it
with
is.
the, excuse me, I'm
Yeah.
getting confused with the fence they were talking about.
Right, yeah, the fence is
Rockwell
outside of the
The
area.
Right,
rock wall is
so-
the one right in between the practice area and the wooden.
So you
frame.
agree with the dry placed farm wall?
Right,
They're
Right,
gonna go just pile up the rocks into a uniform square.
that's fine.
Well placed.
Every rock individually by hand.
I'd
All right,
love to have some kind of information on the detail, though. I'm just so nervous it's
There
gonna
is
be
a
one of
detail,
those.
there's a detail on there,
Is
Lois.
there?
Yeah,
It's not on,
yeah, there's a
Page
detail I
7.
saw, unless I'm
I must be
thinking of
looking at the
someone else's
wrong,
drawing here, so
the
give me
wrong page.
give me a second here.
Which detail, the wall?
It is on sheet
Second
5 of
page.
7.
Second page on, on
5
which
of
one? There's so
7,
many
3
different.
feet
Third
high,
is
4
five.
feet wide.
On this one,
This is 4.
Yeah.
It's on the set with the photos.
it's on the
Underneath.
second.
It is?
Yeah.
I just looked there.
You have to
Page
keep
five.
going.
That there?
Always turn the page.
That's my detail. Okay.
One side.
Ah, there it is, okay. All right, that's better.
all right, any other conditions? All that are in favor are good, Lois?
So I think so. I wrote down everything.
Go ahead.
All right, all that are in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes unanimously.
You need to state your reasons.
reasons.
And this is where Donna really
Thank you.
pays attention, because she's got to get all that information.
Speak.
You can look at the video.
Do you have your list, Mike?
Nope, I know where I went.
And they're still just running water in the wiring for the water through the conduit, right? They're still not thinking about running.
The conduit at the moment is it's just, the proposal
Just a
is just for conduit. They're not running
Right,
anything through
at
it.
some point.
But their proposal is for irrigation, so the water line for the irrigation and the electric line for the irrigation. It's not electric for lighting.
Okay.
But it could be, couldn't it?
Theoretically,
Is it big
it
enough?
could, but he keeps indicating that there's no intention at all of lighting, that's not the purpose.
Right, but I mean, if we were thinking future, could it be big enough to accommodate electricity for the field if they wanted it?
It's a possibility. I don't know if you could run those two lines together inside one conduit, but it is possible.
Okay.
All right. Required application data has been submitted and subsequent hearing testimony and evidence have been provided to adequately document and verify that the application proposal is in accordance with the requirements as set forth by the current Town Monroe Wetlands and Watercourses regulations and Wetlands Watercourses Act pursuant to sections 22A 36 and to 22A 45, inclusive of the Connecticut General Statutes as amended.
Got it?
Good? I could fact sheet this.
Donna's eyes are like
Yeah, I don't have
flipping
any
back
of
in her
this
head.
Would you repeat that, please?
Can we play it back on the videotape?
I'll ask Tanya tomorrow, it's all right.
You can take that one and just put it back in my packet when
All right,
next
I
time.
will, thank you.
Okay?
Okay.
It's number 3.
I need this.
Where'd you get that information?
Okay,
Time
so
slowly
that was approved.
gives it to us. So I think that's the only completed hearing. Because Guinea Road is continued, okay. Do we want, do we have any violation hearings we want to deliberate on? Is that in this section? Sorry, that's later on. Let me
Bond digger.
continue. All right. Bond releases, I-1207-21 Bagadon.
Oregon.
Argonne. Okay.
That's
Okay,
actually,
can you hand me that? Do you know where that is?
I grew up in a different town. I don't know what this town, so road names are.
there's a couple of issues with this one, isn't there? We got a couple of letters.
Okay, so this one, Conrad came to me and it was explaining that when he did his inspection, that well, let me read you the letter we got from the property owner. To whom they may concern, reference cut down tree in regulated area on 21 Bartigone Lane. A large limb fell down from the tree which revealed that the inside was rotten with ants. This jeopardized the safety of my family and my property as well as my neighbors. Cutting down the tree was deemed necessary to prevent any further damage. I apologize for not being aware of the need for permission to cut down the tree, and I have attached an image of the tree. We don't have this on the stick drive, do we?
No.
Okay.
We all
So
have to-
this is a situation where the commission approved a development of a single-family residence. And there was I wish I had this for you on the stick drive, but there's an area out at the end of the driveway as you go into their driveway from the street on the right-hand side where the approved plan called for an area of a wooded area to be maintained. And in the middle of this wooded area, it wasn't a big area, it was like twice the size of a car. In this area was a very large tree. And then there were some other smaller specimens and, again, a small wooded area. What happened was he built the house, built the driveway, did the landscaping that he was supposed to do along the edge of the wetlands, but he cleared out this small area that went, kind of like a little peninsula that went up to the driveway. And the only remaining tree in it was this very large tree. There is a photo that was provided, and clearly the limb had, gigantic limb fell off the tree.
And looks rotted,
Not
yeah.
fell off, but split off the tree as storm damage. And you could actually see in the photo, it was dark in the inside, and it clearly did have some rot in there. And I understand and agree with cutting the tree down. So that tree is gone. The question for the commission is, do you want that small area of the property to be restored as a wooded, the way the original plan indicated? And I apologize, because we really should have that on the stick drive, but I didn't ask that it be put on there, so I guess it's my fault. I'm going to pass down a plan for it. And basically, what the plan shows is that here's the driveway coming in. Bartigone Lane's a cul-de-sac, the driveway coming in, and it's on the entrance portion of the driveway on the right-hand side you're coming in. So right here, it says, proposed restoration of woods in this area right here. Wasn't clearly defined, but what is there now is about 10 feet of lawn. 10 feet from the driveway in is lawn. The rest of it, he was allowed to have lawn, but out near the cul-de-sac in the street, there was a little bit of some woods. There was a machine there when you guys approved it, and there was a pile of construction material, piping, and I forget, catch basin tops or something. There was construction material there, and you kind of wanted a bit of a buffer left in that area, so you required two groupings of plantings, which I believe they put in, but you also, they also had that note on there about proposed restoration to woods. And there are no woods there now, so that's
Can you
basically.
pass that down?
Yeah. Pass this one down.
This was a recent,
I'm sorry?
this was a recent application?
Yeah, I remember this one.
You do? I don't.
Oh,
What's
it's
the impact?
07, or excuse me, 2012.
Small
Okay,
loss
that's
of
pretty-
7 of 2012. So not that recent, but he's now finished with the house, so.
Well, see, the as-built has on it that it's a proposed restoration, right? Which is kind of interesting for an as-built.
You can pass it down to them.
That is the as-built. Let me pass down the, I'm gonna pass down the approval plan, and you'll see on here basically it shows the same information. It shows the plantings, but you'll see the tree line on here, and I think it kind of helps understand it a little bit more.
Well, you're talking about one,
You got that one? Okay.
Scott, you're talking about one point. And I have a letter here from Mark Cunningham
Right.
regarding the plantings and his comments about this.
That one's in.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because that's really.
You also, part of the approval was a requirement for follow-up reporting. So what this is Conrad's going through the process for bond release. But this is just a interim report. I don't believe we're up to the point where that would be released as per a number of reports that you were asking for.
Well, I guess the
Something you wanna
point
tell me?
is that it's more concerning about the kind of the invasives he has on his property. Did he say where they were?
Yeah, it's quite a bit.
There's a lot of concerning, especially the Japanese knotweed, I think. It's got knotweed
The
and
bamboo is there.
tree of
too.
heaven, which is, well, the Japanese bamboo is different than, that's different than the kind of bamboo that most people think of. And the tree of heaven is a nasty plant.
That's a nice thing.
So there's some recommendations here as well.
Right, so we really should have him follow through on these and get these done by a professional, because it looks like there's a very particular way it needs to be done.
I believe that's the avenue that they're going, that they're,
So, let me ask you a question. What are they proposing for the bond release? How much of the bond? Because obviously you said we still have more planting
well,
reports.
what happened was, he wanted the bond released, but what happened was when we went through the process of looking at the file and inspecting, it was pointed out that you're not done. You know, it's not time because you have additional reporting, you've got some things to address with the invasives as well. But I believe the reason really report and commenting about that, the other reason was that he was asking, do I have to put the woods back? Do I have to restore the wooded area that I pointed out in the corner there?
Well, that was one of that was a condition of approval, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, you know, we said, well, we'll run it by the commission and see what their response is.
So he got approval based on the fact that he was gonna restore woods there, and now there's no woods.
The only tree that was there is now down.
Yeah, the one tree that was left is now dead.
And where the commission agrees that tree had to go,
You still have some story.
the wood still has to come back.
It was a major limb, but the inside looked pretty rotted.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that tree had to go.
Yeah, we're not doubting that. Not at
Well,
all.
the branch had to go.
The branch did go, yeah.
No, it could be that the whole tree had, had the same
If it ate all the way through, it's gonna come down anyway.
Yeah, right.
God forbid someone's like, "Hey, you wanna come?"
100%.
But I think there's something needs to be done there.
Yeah, since that's part of a condition of approval, I don't even know if that's something we can approve at this point.
Okay, so, I mean, you could just, support the position, and what you're saying to me is that you want him to continue and follow the plan and put some plantings in there to restore a wooded area.
Yep.
Right, unfortunately, the storm took one of the trees, but that doesn't negate the fact that he has to restore the wood.
Yeah, but you don't want it lawn, you want it, you want more plantings in there to, now that the natural growth was removed from there, you want more plantings put in there that will establish as a natural wooded area, the way that it was originally.
Something like a tree of heaven.
No,
And then
no
he
tree
needs
of
to address these,
And he needs to
address
address
the invasive species
the issues in the report.
as
and-
per the report from the,
Yep, okay.
Do we want to say?
Arborist.
Did we mention what this arborist said?
yes, we just
Okay.
said that he had to address the invasive
Yes.
species according to the report.
Very good.
Okay.
As built back.
No time extensions, no agent activity.
Hold on a second, don't go too fast.
Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah, turkey roost we added, so we gotta do 111 turkey roost.
Turkey roost.
Okay, so, under, yes, you're right, no extensions. Under section 10, there are no general permits, no agent approvals to report. Permitted uses as of right. I have an item to go over with you. Had a property owner come in today for 111 Turkey Roost Road. And come to find out that what he was looking for was a permitted use as of right to replace a section of pipe in his yard. And he had a sketch that was prepared by the office, our office, over a year ago. And at that time, the town was doing some pretty hefty repair work out in the street. And I remember talking to him because there was this section of pipe, and what's happening is he's got a bunch of sinkholes in his yard. And he had come to me because he wanted it replaced. And I explained to him that that's not a responsibility of the town. And so apparently, we had a discussion, and he received a form, a permitted use as a right form with the sketch. And it's like, well, come back and talk to us about that. Well, he came in today, and he's in the process of, he's engaged someone to replace the pipe. And he was under the impression that all he had to do was fill out the permitted use as a right form. When I went through the regulations, I realized that the regulations don't allow private residents, a residential property owner, to replace the pipe, but rather remove debris and leaves and things like that. And that replacement of the pipe would either be a agent approval or a inland wetlands application. However, I did note that it appears that the error was on our part in giving him the form in the first place and leading him to believe that a permitted use as of right would cover it. So I told him, I said, look, I don't like to kind of change the requirement afterward, if that's what was relayed to him. I can't really remember the exact conversation and what was relayed, but my suggestion to him was that since it's an open lawn area, it's not in any wetland or wooded area, I said that I would bring it to the commission and explain what happened, and that way I was hoping to get your endorsement to just handle this one as a permitted use as of right, with a notation on it that it was, that you did hear about it and you're aware of it, and so that it would be legitimate in that respect. I don't know how strongly you feel about it. I did tell him that, I don't make that decision, and if it's a possibility that you can go the other route and say, no, we want it to be an application like it's supposed to be. So, at any rate, that's what I'm involved in and what I'm trying to accomplish.
Okay, so be it.
Well, it's within a previously disturbed area.
It's in a previously disturbed area, so normally I would look at that and say, that's
Could possibly be an agent approval.
an agent approval. And as I said, in lieu of the agent approval, I was gonna proceed with the permitted use as of right, only because I think, and I don't remember real well, but I mean, he had the paperwork, and he had the sketch, so I think he was led down the path that all he needed to get was a permitted use as of right at that time.
Well, with a permitted use as of right, you don't have to inspect it when it's done, am I correct?
I wouldn't say that. We have inspected permitted uses as of right. And to be honest with you, I already discussed with him the concerns about putting some siltation control at the outlet portion. And I had every intention to go have someone go out and inspect what he does.
So there's really no difference then?
There really is no difference other than how it's processed. And that's exactly what I was thinking, that really the end product is the same.
Right.
And I already told them that we would, at the very least, we would be looking to take a look at it and make sure that the siltation control was done properly.
So let me ask a question. Would it be, so the only thing I'm concerned about is legal precedence in that we're kind of giving a permitted use as of right exception for something that we don't technically have in our bylaws. Would it be possible or within our jurisdiction, and look, the commission members have been here a lot longer than I have, to have Scott issue an agent approval, but waive the additional fees that are associated with that application because of clerical error?
Works for me.
Why can't it be just a simple giving you an agent approval?
Because there's an extra fees associated with that as well, right?
If I give him an agent approval, then the only thing I have to do is, we'd have to eat the notice, the public notice. Well, the public notice and the reporting fee for the deep. So you got the deep reporting fee and the cost of putting a notice in the paper.
And that's really the only difference between.
That's really the only difference.
Between the permitted use as a right.
$100 altogether, Val?
Yeah, and I gotta say, back in that era and before that, there wasn't real great clarification between agent, in that issue, in that situation of someone replacing a pipe. Because when we first started, the thought was, oh, you're maintaining your existing pipe, you're replacing it. Yeah, that's acceptable. And then when we read more carefully the actual regulation, you read it and you think, and you know that, oh no, this isn't for replacing the pipe.
Now, is that in our regulations or the state ones?
It's your regulation.
There's
Okay.
section 4.
So we can possibly fix that too.
Yeah.
Or at least
Although-
visit it and discuss it.
Yeah, I can understand, again, an agent approval is administrative.
Yeah.
And you do it that way, so you get a bond and you get,
Protections for the
there's,
towns, yeah, you're right.
The only thing I feel bad that, I think he was led down the path of, hey, all you need is a permitted use as a right for.
Yeah.
And I think it was discussed in the context of, it started out being an explanation of why the town's not responsible to do that, which was quite a process to get him on board with that, to understand that it was his responsibility to replace the pipe. He now agrees with that, he understands that, he's willing to do that, and he wants to do the right thing. He said
Yeah.
that, you know, I'm not trying to beat you out of the application. He says, I'll do the right thing, but I want you to know that I'm the one who offered to continue with the permitted use as of right, because I don't like steering someone one way and then later
No.
on tell them they have to do it.
And I understand that. That's 100% not my concern to do harm to this person in any way,
Right,
shape, or
yep.
form. That's why I'm saying if we do the other way, I want to look at waiving those costs. I know our budget's huge, and Megan's still getting caught up on all the treasure report.
She'll have to sign off, of course.
I mean, I'd open up, how does the commission feel about the two options really that are on the table?
If we could get to the end result pretty much the same way, I think it would be better to not have it be as of right, because it's not. I mean, I would be concerned about precedent.
The precedent.
Like
Or
somebody
some
else
kind
coming
of
and saying, hey, you
technical,
did this
yeah,
once.
hey, you did this once before. And
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely do that. I could assist with the agent approval, and we could go that route. I mean, your budget, you know, there's plenty of money in your budget to cover the
Really?
notice.
There's plenty of money.
not anymore. No.
Plenty of
Megan
money.
took care of
Plenty
it.
of money.
To
Holy
cover
cow.
that, I said.
Oh, okay, oh, okay.
That works for me.
So really, I think that's the better way to
Jeremy's walking around in a
go.
fancy new sweater, I don't think.
15 minutes ago.
Okay, so I'll then go ahead and process it as an agent approval.
You take a little longer now.
You know, it isn't on,
All right. Any public works work?
111 Turkey Ridge. I read it into the agenda when we started.
Any public work?
No,
All right. Violations from this hearing. Is there any ones we want to talk about now, or do we want to visit? 78 Stanley Road did not show up. So what do we want to do there?
where
Give him one
are
more
you?
meeting.
Where are you?
On section XI,
Okay.
discussion on violation hearings from this agenda.
Yep, okay.
All right, so 78 Stanley Road didn't show. I think I heard from Commissioner Spence that she wanted to give them the opportunity to show up at the next meeting
but they
and,
should be told.
yeah, issue a
that
letter,
If they don't, then the
Strike
fine
one.
process goes into effect,
the citation process, yep.
citation process, yes.
How many times, is this the first meeting they're supposed to be at?
Yeah.
Bill, Commissioner, I mean,
You gotta give them-
And then 104, I believe we want to visit, and 38, we're waiting on additional information.
Yes, okay.
All right, administrative review. And what time is it anyway?
Goes
That's
with,
good.
All right,
Oh,
all right, all right, Scott, you got 30 minutes to go through these. We're not picking up anything after 10:30.
oh, you guys send back all the maps for the Martagon?
Mr. Shelby's here for.
Yeah, what are you here for?
Got nothing to do with it.
Not that you can't be here, but what are you waiting on something?
There were 3 violations that we talked
I
about.
didn't get to them
Business
yet.
Park. I know, you're not, so I'm city division.
Gotcha,
Oh, that's
okay.
Gotcha.
All right,
Okay.
so we're getting to you, good, okay.
Oh, I
Just want to make sure we're not like,
And I want to clarify that we're now on section 11, which is administrative, and we're on the section of that, administrative review and enforcement issues. This is as the commission knows, this is the section of the agenda where I will go over the report with the commission. It's not meant to include anyone else in that process. This is merely to tell the commission what we think we're looking at, and looking for the commission to give me some direction on whether or not to issue a notice of violation or proceed with some other avenue to address the issue. So, having said that, the first two, IWV 2015-17 and IWV 2015-18 are both the same thing. They're two abutting properties. They are 234 and 236 Main Street.
46.
What?
246.
Yes, 240.
234 and 246. Okay, thank you. 246 Main Street. Sippin Enterprise, and basically what happened with these two is they came to us, well, we were aware of them ahead of time, but we hadn't gotten to the point in the process where we were bringing it before you. But what is really pushing it or driving it at this point was they submitted an application for some solar panels on one of their buildings. And as a result, there was a push to address these apparent violations along with some other apparent zoning violations. They have since withdrawn that application because we've met with them. They've received some input from us, and they are acknowledging that they've got some issues that they need to address. We have a meeting scheduled for next week where we're going to be sitting down and going over that with them, and in the hopes of coming up with a process and a way to resolve the issue. So in a way, we're kind of proceeding without your input. It's almost turned into something that we don't really need to issue a notice of violation because they're already indicating
engaged.
that they're coming to the table. So I don't know how far I want to go with this, but let me just show you quickly what we're dealing with. 234.
You're gonna go to current meeting files, click on the IWC, or you can just do it that way.
I have no idea where this is.
Okay, so if you're familiar, this is the property that is south of where Ace Hardware used to be.
Yeah, 25 is Main Street, yeah.
The Sippin Energy.
In the back there.
Right
Yeah,
south
in the
of the brew
back,
pub.
right. So basically what we've got is clearing and filling of an upland review area. There is not only filling in the upland review area, but there's a conservation, well, there was a conservation easement required by a previous planning and zoning. They never recorded that conservation easement. It's on their approved plan, or the plan that was submitted and referenced in the approval, but it apparently was never recorded on the land records. So here's a shot of the plan showing the property. Basically, what you don't see is this whole area looking out over in here or that's the developed portion of the property with a couple of buildings, a couple of storage fuel tanks, large tanks, parking, their commercial site. This is at the, Main Street is out here on the west end. This is the far easterly end of their property. And it entered into a wooded area. I guess this was somewhat cleared going way back. There was somewhat of a field there, so I'm hearing anyway. There was a requirement to plant and maintain a rather large area of
White pine?
white, I don't know if it's white pine or some type of evergreens in there. And so what we have is we've got the wetland is shown in blue. The upland review area is the red dotted line. The purple area is the area of fill. So when we went out there, this, you can see it in this picture here, this area. I mean, there's large pieces of concrete and asphalt There is a paved portion of the driveway over in this area. Along this line here, I estimate that there's upwards of 6 to 10 feet of fill there, maybe 8 feet or so. You stand in this area and you look down. There's a little small area where the slope extends into what looks like the wetlands. I mean, it's not flagged, but it looks like this slope actually is extending into the wetland. In addition, there's equipment over here. He had screening. There's a property he owns over in this, south of this property that was developed, and they took the topsoil off. They were supposed to stockpile it over here and not remove it, and that was mixed with other material and sold for topsoil. There was a sign out at the entrance for farming and topsoil for sale. There's a screener back here and some equipment that's put, and the other property is the property that has the Ace Hardware and a couple other uses in there. It's now
It's the brewery.
brew pub.
And Northeast Laser.
And Northeast Laser. Well, behind there is an area where they enlarged their septic system, which is right here. But behind that, another flat field where processing of earth material took place, and clearing and filling, etc. So this band between the red dashed line and the purple has been disturbed, and I don't think you need to direct me to do anything at this point. We do have a meeting with the property owner, and we're pursuing a resolution to do it.
Thank you.
Okay? So that's what's going on with that. If that falls through, I'll just come back to your.
I think you have to report anyway, because we do have these things.
Yeah.
And these are big deals.
Yep, so hopefully you're gonna see an application, where I'm going with this is, I believe that, they're talking direct wetland impact, the type of restoration that's needed out here is an application before the commission. So, that's where I'm going with this. Do you guys concur with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm hearing yes, and so I'll proceed in that manner. So that's what's happening with that. The next item is IWC 2015-20, which is 111 Blanket Meadow Road. And that is a situation that,
I actually don't have that on my agenda.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is that
well,
2014-08?
it's not on there. I read that in at the beginning of the meeting.
Oh, I don't remember that one, okay.
Okay.
Thought I did, or did I forget to do it?
I think you forgot to do that one.
Well, I don't believe, it's not an agenda, I mean, it's not an application before the commission or anything like that. So,
What was the number again?
this is 2015-20. As we get these things, as you know, it's an
Yeah, we
informal,
didn't get them.
I just explain them to the commission. This one here is a property, a house that was approved not that long ago. I think it's circa 2000, around 2000. Filling of regulated upland review area and regulated wetland area with non-native,
Soil material.
yeah, soil material. Not exactly sure of that phrase, but unpermitted activity extends into the limits of a conservation easement. What they did, what's also not on here, by the way, is they also extended a pipe across from the driveway across the front yard so that they could fill it. And so there's fill, there is also fill around a well that was installed for the house. There's play equipment in the upland review area that there's no permit for. Basically, here's a picture of what's going on. You got Blanket Meadow Road with a cul-de-sac. There's a driveway leading back to the house. This whole front yard area shown in purple is a filled area. These two, circle and the square here in the magenta color is, that's the play equipment that's in the middle of the wetlands and the upland review area that was put there without a permit. And from the driveway, which is here, running out to the end of this purple area is a pipe that was extended to facilitate the filling. And off to the east of it, along the, close to the edge of this disturbed area for the length of where that pipe went in is also a stone wall that's been constructed within that area as well. So this one here, when I went out and met with the property owner, I met with the contractor at the site and then talked with the property owner via phone. She contacted her attorney, and I have a meeting on Friday of this week with the attorney to discuss the resolution of this matter. And again, what's happening with a couple of these is if they get wind of, if I do get a conversation going and they get wind of the fact that there's an issue, they are kind of actively pursuing a resolution. So before I even come to you and issue any kind of notice of violation or get direction from you, I've already scheduled a meeting with the property owner to resolve that. So let me ask you this.
Do we have paperwork on this?
No.
Oh, okay.
You should, I mean, it should be.
I had stuff ready for the commission to go tonight that should have been on the commission bid. Yeah.
This, you mean?
Okay.
Yeah, those.
So
no, we don't have it.
no, and again,
We're about
the purpose of it is to hand it out at this
That's fine.
hearing. It's not.
Been in our
Yes,
packets
and now we
anyway.
have it.
And so, I'm sorry, I thought you guys got that.
That's
So
why we never know.
We're all looking at them.
what I'm asking you is, normally I would explain this to you and you would give me some direction to go ahead and issue the notice of violation.
If you already have them working,
I,
Yeah, if you've already got.
let's
it going.
not upset them. Just continue
Okay.
working with them until it's
so
resolved.
let me ask you this, the purpose of the notice of the violation
Get them to come to the
is to
table.
get them to come to the commission.
Yes.
Right.
If I can get them to recognize that they need to take action, well, I think in this case, they still need to come to see you, because you need to talk about this with them to decide whether or not you want it to be an application to the commission or an agent. It's not really suited for an agent approval, because it's not a previously disturbed area.
Did you say there was a conservation easement involved with this?
Yeah, the conservation easement is the area that's shown.
So that's
Yeah.
definitely beyond your purview. As
Yes.
soon as you get into
But the way
conservation
that we've been
easement,
handling
that's out of you.
conservation easements, quite frankly, is the town has
Whatever
been
commission gets it.
looking, most of the time it's an overlap. And the town looks upon it as, look, if wetlands has to resolve this issue, the town is good with, the town's looking
Right.
for it to be restored as a natural area.
Yep.
And so what I've been doing is processing the conservation resolution along with the wetlands.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I think you're right. I think depending on what they say and what test, if they bring any new information to you that we don't have here, then maybe that will change it. But yeah,
Yeah,
if they bring an application, I still don't think we have to issue the notice of violation if they're willing to come to the
Yeah,
commission
okay.
with an application.
Well, I have two different lines of thought about that. One is that the notice of violation does provide a good paper trail and a good documentation of the process. On the other hand, I hear what you're saying. It's like, it seems like it's a document that is really not needed if they're cooperative and meeting with me, and I think.
I don't think
if
anything
you're-
stops us from issuing it if they
That's
stop.
fine, we could issue it at any time, so.
So I don't think that's
So
out of our
if
purview.
you're telling me that by what I'm showing you, it looks like you need to receive an application, then that is direction that I'll take to utilize in my meeting on Friday with these property owners.
Yeah, unless there's some testimony that comes in that changes all this, then yeah.
Right, okay, so as it is now, as what I've shown you, you're kind of advising me that your expectations are that they're gonna submit an application for remediation.
Yep.
Okay, I think that's all I need at this point, and I'll meet with them on Friday, and then I'll report at the next meeting. Either I'll have them here with an application, or report what's happening.
Perfect. Okay, pending. IWV 2014-08, which I believe is 88 Elm Street.
Okay, did you get the letter that you need to sign, first of all?
I signed it.
Okay, so you signed that, so we're gonna send a letter out asking them to remove the equipment. And then, while we were doing that, you guys were gonna look at this.
So did anybody else get a chance to visit? No. Okay.
You guys go for record on this one.
Yes, we have.
This one, we're going for most meetings without
I
visiting.
haven't been able to drive for the last 5 weeks.
Okay.
She
You're
can only-
excused.
she can only make left turns. It just takes a lot longer to get to all the
Yes,
violations.
it does.
Okay, so the letter will go out now, so at least that'll get
Yeah,
addressed.
didn't go out.
And you really
I got
do
it.
need to look at this
Today.
at some point, so we can move forward with it.
Yeah, I mean, I can say from my visit, which was probably about 3 to 4 weeks ago now, there's considerable, it looks a lot better than the pictures at this point. I don't know if they've done stuff or it just, the pictures aren't flattering, but, the green truck is now a different color, I can tell you that. They admitted they painted it, they said you can't sell a green truck. The dirt pile is still there, although diminished, it's not as big as it was. The machine I really wanted to see, that excavator that's to the green truck, was actually where, what I think the snow plows are, where that orange cone is now, so it's kind of facing the wetlands, and that's really what I want pulled away. I mean, from my perspective, if they took this dirt pile and made a berm along the back of their property and planted it, I think that's
Well,
good
remember,
protection.
we're dealing with a conservation easement in this situation.
Yeah,
Well-
not far in.
Right, so that was my other question, right? So looking at the map,
Can you
So-
pull that one up, because I don't have the paperwork at my.
that was just trying to figure out where the conservation easement is, because it changed colors on me. It's normally blue.
What are we talking about? 88 Elm, right? So
Yeah.
we're looking at the,
No.
Previous.
You
You
were
were
there, you were there.
I
Go
thought
back.
we wanted the previous.
No.
Oh,
right
here
there.
it is, okay. All right, so the,
Yeah,
here's
so
the-
I didn't see any conservation easement. I know you've said it before, but I can't find it.
That's what that orange
Co-
dashed line is, approximately a restrictive covenant for subdivision map deed. Deed.
That's some legal
yeah, it's just a
terminology around
different way
that.
of labeling it.
Okay,
But a conservation easement is a restrictive covenant.
So
Okay.
that's the yellow dotted line that's to the left of the
Yeah,
purple?
that's this dotted line.
That goes across the
Okay,
square.
thank you. So everything
that's the
to the left of
Rectangle.
that is conservation, not conservation easement?
Everything this way.
Everything behind it, okay.
so that's the other challenge, though. This has considerably changed since this topo was taken. So like, where I was thinking of the line, or the berm line, is where that shed is, where
Now-
your grass tree plant is.
Well, let me just clarify, this area here, right now, this area is a wetland that has been filled.
Right, but my understanding is it's been filled a long
Yeah,
time
okay,
ago.
that started to be filled, and this is coming back to me, but beyond, what we talked about was beyond this historic, area, filling, first of all, you were kind of leaning toward having this area restored as a buffer of sorts, okay?
Right.
And then beyond that is the conservation. This area here was an area that is further filled with with, I don't know what that is in the photo, but,
That actually looks like the equipment that's there now. It's an excavator.
okay, some equipment and debris in that area. So you were gonna go out and look at it,
Right.
so you could discuss it a little bit better, but.
And that's what I'm saying now.
The thought was that this area here, that's a prohibitive zone.
Right.
Right.
So that clearly would need to be restored back to its normal. And this, the question was, upon looking at this, you were gonna decide what you wanted done with this area. And remember, more than anything else, at this point in time, you're just deciding what process do you want them to come in with
Yes.
to resolve this. And then once you decide that, then you can give some direction as to what your expectations are for,
So regardless of which way we go, they have to have some kind of an application in order to restore that back section
True.
of the conservation easement.
True.
So
well, they
we
don't
just-
have to. I mean, they could, I mean, you could do it with just something to say that, you know, if they're agreeable to restore that area, you know, plant it and put markers up. I mean, I'm just saying that it could go that route,
Yeah.
but usually
know.
when you get involved with planting plans and restoration, again, it's like
You need
earlier this
application,
evening,
yep.
you kind of need to see something so that you have, you know, some kind of we have some kind of
Right.
documentation so that when it comes time to do it, we've got something to fall back on.
I do understand. I just don't want to necessarily leave pretty helpful. They've answered their phone. They're letting us out on the site. I don't want to keep holding this out in front of them and being like, nope, not yet, not yet, not yet.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm
So-
saying. You guys need to
No,
go
no.
out and look at it.
And I know, and I'm trying to say basically is maybe we just decide that there needs to be an application come into play.
Okay, so you're gonna jump forward then, okay.
And with the understanding that the conservation easement has to be restored. Honestly, I'd like to see some kind of berm to protect,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
anything
an
further.
established berm and buffer
Right.
along that yellow line,
along that yellow line,
to the left of the yellow line.
What yellow line?
orange.
Oh, the orange, what,
Easement line.
the one that's to the left of the purple.
To the,
And you gotta figure out what,
The yellow line that
This-
goes to
this-
the middle
I
of.
mean, for the best of their knowledge, this was destroyed in '68.
yeah.
So you want the conservation and the
So-
wetland area restored?
And I don't think this is gonna be restored to any value. It's been
I don't know about
destroyed
the
hardcore.
wetland area.
so you want some type of a buffer in that wetland area to the left of the conservation easement. You want some kind of you want that restored with grass and some portion of that a buffer, planted buffer. Is that what you're saying?
I don't,
This is
No,
just,
that's a tough.
this is
that's a
just
tough
very
one.
general in terms of what to submit for an application.
no, and I know, buffer, yes, to the wetlands. And see, the challenge is drawing the wetlands as they are right now is not really realistic. Like if the 1968's wetlands line,
Well, the buffer would be to the conservation line.
Oh,
the buffer,
Did I say wetlands?
you said to the
Yeah.
left of the wetland line.
I'm sorry, what I meant was the left of the
Left of the
conservation.
conservation line,
Yes.
that's what
Right.
I was
That's-
thinking.
Yes,
Since
That's
it's
right.
historical filling,
right.
yes.
Okay.
It's basically building a buffer around that, to the right of it, restore, and build a buffer, not a huge buffer, but a berm, buffer, plantings.
I would say you need it, you
Come
need
up
a
with a
good
planting
5
plan
foot,
for.
Come
at
out
least 5
buffer.
foot 10, 5 to 20 foot buffer of
5 to
trees
20.
and plantings. 5 to 20, and there's.
So they gotta come up with it, they gotta come
Well,
up with
you
an
know.
application for it, so.
Right, they're gonna
That's,
come with an application.
they need a
so-
buffer.
A substantial buffer, not just 6
So-
little trees,
Substantial.
you know.
Okay, so I have what I need. I'll send them a letter saying that they need to submit an application for restoration of the property, an application to the commission, and it should include approximately a 20-foot buffer to the left, or I'll get the orientation better from the north-south. And once I know where the north arrow is. Yeah, and so that to put in a buffer in that area and to restore the area within the conservation easement. I'll also suggest that they put in about a couple of markers along that line
Absolutely.
where they establish the buffer.
Do you normally also say that they give them the opportunity to call you for further clarification?
Yeah, I'll help them with,
And
you know,
guidance.
putting, any questions they have or putting together an application. But basically, the purpose of this is just to tell them that you guys are looking for an application to be submitted to that for the consideration.
You know, it would be better, a wall would be better than a berm. A
Well,
long conservation easement.
The only thing I'm thinking of is they have a giant pile of dirt
Hmm.
that is already indigenous to the site. It doesn't have anything really bad growing on it, so it doesn't have seeds that we don't have to worry about. If they start bringing in rocks, they'll start bringing in other stuff.
Do they have any
Is it cool
stones?
the town that they store all their construction equipment there?
Not really.
Well,
There's
That's
a,
no,
P&Z
there's a
issue.
separate zoning
Yeah.
issue that needs to be addressed.
and, yeah, that's
And
not
we're
us,
pursuing
but,
that.
Obviously.
right.
No, you're right.
And actually, most of the construction equipment shown on the topo is gone.
And I like the when we tell people to submit an application or a mediation, they're submitting an application, hopefully they're dealing with appropriate professionals, and they may want to come in with their own ideas of marking the limits of, and creating
Yep.
a
Right.
barrier. You know,
Yep.
it could be a fence, it could be a stone wall.
Exactly,
So I
that's
kinda
what I'm
leave
saying.
it up
We
to
need a
them.
buffer to the conservation
Yeah.
easement, that's really.
Because sometimes you might be pleasantly surprised in what they come up
Right.
with.
I'm also not even inclined to give them necessarily the 20-foot minimum or
Yeah,
guidance.
just
Just
say
say,
buffer.
we need a buffer,
Okay.
design one, we can give them that feedback once they apply the application, if
Okay.
it's not substantial enough. All right,
Very good.
Thank you, guys.
We shall do it.
all right.
Just call it a substantial buffer so that we can back it up if we
We'll
need
use
to
the word
in the
substantial.
application
Fair.
process.
All right, we're under section 12, general discussion. We have our inland wetlands regulation amendments review packet. Has anybody had a chance to read these over?
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
I just want to touch on something quick.
Correspondence.
There were notices of deliberation issued for 3 sites in the business park. We have to submit inspection reports and a plan kind of showing what our recommendations were. I just want to hand these in because they were due today.
Okay,
So
thank you.
I was here because I'd be happy to go through them, but it's 10:30.
Right.
So
Too late.
I also have a letter from the soil scientist who also visited the site, and I'm trying to give you guys everything we're supposed to give you. But that's for 124 Enterprise, 5 Independence, and 7 Independence.
Appreciate you turning that in.
Good.
Present
You
these,
should
or
have come to see me before the
Yeah,
meeting.
you
I
could have
called
saved
you.
yourself some time.
Oh, it
I
was too
called
late.
you today, I missed you.
Okay.
About to say, that could have been good for general public too. But I think you came in right after that, but okay.
I mean, we went out, we surveyed the limit of disturbance, we compared it to the previous limit of disturbance. Actually, they're all good, except for one, there's some slight improvements that we're recommending to pull back, but.
Okay,
So we didn't come around to you yet with this, so what would have happened
I didn't know
is-
if it was, I didn't think there was
It
anything
wasn't
on the
even on the
agenda that would come back to.
No.
No, not on the agenda, but we would have, followed up with,
We send Jason after you.
we were coming around to it, but it wasn't on the agenda.
Round-
sorry about that.
Thank you. Oh, good night, Kevin. Good night.
All right. So we have inland wetlands regulation amendments that we gave out, I think, last meeting. Has anybody had a chance to review those? Do we have anything we want to discuss, or do we want to schedule a public hearing for those?
Because I was involved. I think we ought to have a public hearing.
I think we're ready for the public hearing.
Okay, and I mean, it doesn't stop anybody from bringing up questions during the public hearing, it just
Sure.
wanted to make sure our commission had time to look it over. All right, so, Scott, can we give you the guidance to schedule that for hearing as appropriate?
Yep, we'll do. Do you have any, no one has any comments to address anything?
No, these things have been in the works for so long.
I read the last revisions from Jeremy, and I think they looked pretty good, so.
Okay. So we have to deal with that notice that goes out to,
DEP,
Right.
right?
yeah, DEP and.
So we got, it's 35 days from today.
Yeah, I believe it's a 35
So
day.
that would be, like, what, the end of November?
Yeah.
Would be,
What?
would be able to have the hearing?
I believe it's
So what
after that
happened was
35
last
days.
meeting,
but I
we
gotta
had his
double check.
violations.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the way it goes.
And we gave him until next meeting to present stuff.
That's right.
And he stayed here to present stuff, but it isn't on our agenda, that's why, that's what
Yeah.
I mean, they could have gotten it tomorrow, and I'm sure the office would have been fine with that. It's
Yeah,
just,
You know, we're inundated with stuff, so it's just like,
the commission appreciates his
But I
stick-to-itiveness to
applaud-
stay
I
through the whole
applaud
meeting.
his,
No, he was good.
It was very much appreciated. All right, so there's some correspondence supposedly about CT Deep Dam registration.
Dam registration.
Sorry, not to swear, excuse my French.
Written a dam registration.
Oh, our dam is not registered with deep.
Stevenson?
No, this is the Harvey Peak Pond. This is up on, Huntingtown Road.
Huntingtown?
Isn't that Newtown?
I believe that's the
Do we
one.
own it?
Yeah, is it ours?
There were some issues, I'm pretty sure that that's the one. There were some issues with beaver dams. And
Is that the one that came up to us a couple meetings ago with beaver dams?
I think that's related to this
The
pond.
the guy wanted to have a
But it
proposal
also,
to break it up.
This pond is also a registered national diversity database for harboring an endangered species. And so there's a lot of, but I have to guess we have to register the dam. Anything more than 15 feet tall
Even if it's natural?
is considered a dam.
Unnatural.
Well, no, like beaver dam.
Oh.
You have to register your
A
beaver dam.
15
That'd be
foot
interesting.
beaver.
Do they know they have to fill out that paperwork? Jesus.
Damn terrible handwriting.
yeah, so make sure you pass that back down to me, so I can
Lazy beavers. All right.
channel it in the right direction.
Does anybody else want to see the letter from Deep?
Sure.
All right,
Motion to adjourn.
all right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Jack. All in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned at
Where'd that go?
10:36.
They're looking at it.
He's looking at it,
Send it
and
right back
Megan's
down.
looking at it.